Peloton, let's go.
This holiday, with the right music and the right motivation from world-class instructors,
we're going to pick it up a notch. It's the holiday season.
You might just surprise yourself with what you're capable of. Work out to thousands of live and on-demand classes, from running to cycling to yoga. Try Peloton risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only, not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial. Peloton, motivation that moves you.
Tired of long waits and rushed care at the ER and urgent care clinic? Next time, stay home and let Dispatch Health bring the power of the hospital to you.
I call Dispatch Health. A care team of medical professionals actually come to your house.
They're the same caliber of people that you would see if you were at a hospital or an urgent care.
Dispatch Health can treat most non-life-threatening emergencies.
They can do the x-rays, they can do stitches,
urinary tract infections, blood test, urinalysis, ultrasound.
It's almost everything that they can do at the ER.
You never feel rushed. They're there for you and only you.
I felt like their only patient.
And it costs no more than a trip to urgent care because Dispatch Health is covered by most insurance, including Medicare. See if we serve your home at dispatchhealth.com.
Dispatch Health really went above and beyond.
It's wonderful to have care come to your home.
House calls are back, and they're better than ever. Learn more at dispatchhealth.com.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
I hate the commentators. I hate the ring announcers. I hate the production. I hate the wrestling. I hate the interviews. I hate their promo style. I hate the way the shows are presented. I hate the way the shows are paced. I hate the video packages. I hate everything about this company with every fiber of my being.
And Rich Craig.
You know, he comes out and you're just like, ugh, gross. Like, look at this guy.
Yeah.
In all the best ways possible. He's just the slimiest looking guy you've ever seen. I love him so much. He's so good. And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening?
You know, we were talking off air about we were struggling to come up with a lead topic for this week's show because while there's a lot going on and we have plenty on the run sheet, nothing really stands out as the dominant topic in pro wrestling on this Thursday evening or this part of the week when we record the show, right? So we think we settled on a lead topic that we're going to go with, but before we get to that, and by the way, this will be the only podcast this week on Earth
starting with this topic. We assure you. Yes, we assure you.
But it fits our history and it fits what we do on this show, covering the whole world of wrestling. But before we reveal that lead topic and open the show, Rich, I decided to seek out our friends at the Ringer and see what their topics were on their shows this week, and maybe that will help sway us and help lead us to what should be the lead topic on our show.
Okay, yeah, sure.
If you recall last week, the hot topic on the Ringer Wrestling podcast was the return of Nikki Cross, which didn't even make our run sheet.
It did not even make my mind at all at any point. Never was going to make our run sheet. Never was going to. I think we theorized, 10 hours that we would have to do the show before we got to. I don't think we would have ever gotten to it. I think if we truly sat down and did a show where the 3 hours were done and we were like, all right, guys, overrun time, flagshippatreon.com, we're going on overrun. And then we went on the overrun for another 5 hours or whatever. We're not getting to Nikki. Because at that point, we're just deep in Continental. We're talking 89. We're not going to get to Nikki Cross. At that point, if we're 7 hours into our show, golly knows where we're at. And it is not the hot new re-debut on Paul Levesque's Monday Night Raw. It's just not going to be that. So I don't think it would have ever happened, ever.
2 points. Number one, I think if we did a show, let's say we were busted open and we're 5 days a week, I still don't think we'd get to the
feel like we wouldn't
return of Nikki Cross.
No, I think we'd get some anniversary thing that we talk about. There's too much in the world of wrestling, too much time. Life is too short for us to discuss Nikki Cross's return to Monday Night Raw.
And the second point is I'm not even entirely sure which show she returned on.
I think it was Raw, but now you bring up a good point. We can also play who she played for, because
right.
I'm not entirely. I think. Hopefully, you're not quizzing me later about this, but I believe she is a Raw talent.
So, as we go through the Ringer topics on their shows this week, do you want me to start with their best show and work my way down to their worst show, or start with the worst show and work which obviously is Cheap Heat?
Okay, I was going to ask what's the measure here, but it's just Cheap Heat's the worst, and then everything else is
Cheap Heat, hosted by Dopey Pete, is not only the worst Ringer Wrestling podcast. It is probably the worst wrestling podcast that exists today, and that includes all the, fly-by-night, blade job, and chair shot shows that have 19 listeners. It is irredeemably awful. The rankings, Rich, are Cheap Heat is by far the worst, completely useless, utterly unlistenable. Mac Mania would be the middle, and the best, quote-unquote, best Ringer podcast would be the Masked Man Show. So, and that one's actually just an average podcast, if I'm being honest. It's not for me. It's not for you. It's not for our listeners, So where would you like me to start? With the worst or the best?
Let's start with the best, and we'll end with Dopey Pete, as that'll transition us into the rest of our show. So yes, let's start with the best, and then we'll work our way to Dopey Pete.
All right. So I've looked at this already, and all three shows have a very common hot topic for the week.
Are you including the Attitude Era show? Is that involved in this or no? Okay.
No, that retro show, which is now apparently back, we're not counting that because that's not a...
Because I had never heard of that, and then this week I saw a retweet about it, and people were like, oh, here we go, we're going to talk about... I think legitimately, I'm not even kidding, they were talking about DX invading Nitro, and I was just like, oh my God, whoever wants to hear about this ever again. They're like, we're going to talk to X-Pac about when DX... Oh, fucking God! Good God, there's so much wrestling that nobody has ever talked about, that few people have ever watched. Every week, Joe, I discover a new wrestler, a new territory that I've never really dove into, a new Japanese wrestling promotion I've never dove into, a match that I've never seen, and these people are still talking about DX driving a fucking Jeep up to the building of Nitro.
Yeah.
Why?
A tale that's never been told.
Why? Who wants to hear that anymore? Who's like, oh, I want to see what X-Pac has to say about this. We've heard what X-Pac had to say. What more do you need? Good God.
I hope you haven't heard of this one yet, that the news broke today, but the Conrad verse is doing something, Rich. And if you've heard about this one, don't spoil it for the listeners, but Conrad is bringing Eric Bischoff and Bruce Pritchard together on a podcast next week. Do you know the topic or no?
I don't. Is it the Montreal Screwjob?
It's Survivor Series 97, baby.
Yes, thank God. Finally somebody could talk about it. To be fair, it is the 25th anniversary, which is like, okay, it's but here's the thing, we celebrated every other anniversary that's ever had.
No, to be fair. No.
And we don't have to be fair to I don't have to hand it to ISIS. No.
You don't have to hand it to Conradverse for doing Survivor Series 97 again.
With two people he's definitely talked about it with.
Yeah.
Numerous times. Oh my God.
These people cannot let go of any of these topics.
It's a 3-year period. Just stop. Oh, God. This is the dumbest business. Business sucks. What are we doing?
It's so stupid.
What are we doing? We'd probably make so much more money if we just did that. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm sitting here trying to finish a Dragongate show and reading up about the NWA or whatever, and these guys are just getting on a podcast, hitting record, and saying, yes, so we presented Brett with numerous options, and he decided that, he wanted, it's, oh my God, like, they're making so much more money than we are.
Do like political history podcasts do Watergate shows?
I was gonna say, all right, we're doing Watergate, yeah. All right.
I don't know. Is this just unique to wrestling?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
That the same topics just continue to get beaten to death. How many times can we retell the same stories? What new ground is going to be broken on that Conrad podcast with Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff on Survivor Series 97? What new ground? There's no more new grounds. You just got to start making shit up.
Well, that might be the route. So
they got the right guys to do that.
I was going to say
yeah.
Oh, dear God. Well, our retrospective's coming out next week, I believe. Our Survivor Series 97 Montreal Screwjob retrospective coming out next week. So,
if anyone pitches that, fire them. I don't even know who works here, but whoever pitches that, that's not true. I always say that. You know, there's definitely some people who I have no clue who they are who write for the site. But I think I know the vast majority of them. Anyway, hey, remember we found out that someone got really insulted by that years ago and never told us because I came on the air and said I couldn't remember his name or something.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
And that's why he dropped off and we never heard from him again because he's like, I've been writing for this fucking guy for like 4 years and he don't even know my name.
The bit. Yeah, I didn't get the bit that you would say that.
I mean, he's got a valid point. Like, to be honest,
you do suck. So I get that.
He's not wrong for being mad at that. But anyway, back to ripping other podcasts.
Yes, yeah. Now let's not rip each other. Let's get on these other dumb podcasts.
So I think I figured out who the guy was now too. It wasn't the person they said it was.
No, it was not the person everybody thought it was.
I know who it was though. It was I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Masked Man show. They opened up with David, that's Schumacher, and Kaz are joined by Phil Schneider as they discuss the blunder that was Austin Theory's cash-in. Lead topic is Austin Theory's cash-in, Rich.
Phil Schneider coming to talk about Austin Theory's cash-in, huh? All right.
Yes, they did.
I got excited for a second. I was like, oh, like they're going to talk about, the bloodiest wrestling. No, they talked about...
Oh, they're going to do Pentagon and Viano 3. No.
Yeah, right. No, they did. They did Austin Theory's cash-in. Okay. All right.
Topic 2 was taking a look at the rest of Raw and Logan Paul. Topic 3 was last night's Dynamite, including another great show put on by Bryan Danielson. So that's their 3 topics. Austin Theory's blunder, cash-in.
Okay.
Raw / Logan Paul, Dynamite. Okay. Show number 2, Mac Mania is show number 2, Rich. Evan, T-Mac, Flobo, Jack, and Brian. Their lead topic, Austin Theory failed to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase for the United States. Okay, so they also opened with the Austin Theory botched cash in for the U.S. title.
I mean, look, if you're doing a wrestling podcast this week, you got to talk Austin Theory's blundered cash in of the Money in the Bank briefcase, which
Rich,
we will get to at some point, I'm sure. It's not on our run sheet, and I had no plans of doing it. But of course, if you're any podcast worth its weight, you got to talk about the blunder that was Austin Theory's Money in the Bank cash in.
Topic 2, Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. Topic 3, Wheeler, Utah interview discussing Blackpool Combat Club, Philadelphia wrestling fans. So there you go. That's their 3 topics. Very similar to the Masked Man, except they don't discuss Dynamite. They brought Wheeler, Utah on for segment number 3. Now on to Dopey Pete and Cheap Heat, the worst of the shows. If I gave you, let me try to think how many guesses at their lead topic I'd have to give you before I think you would get it. Probably somewhere in the hundreds of thousands of guesses before you would guess.
Excuse me. Hundreds of thousands of guesses.
Well, I could tell you that the Austin Theory cash-in is on their run sheet.
Okay.
But it's
not
number 1.
Not number 1. Okay.
I could tell you that Logan Paul is on their run sheet, but also not number 1. So 2 of the same topics as the other shows. One of their 3rd topic here is how to structure war games. Look, I'm just reading it off the sheet. Okay, so that's a 3rd one. But their lead topic, Rich, you wouldn't guess this. I think if I gave you infinite guesses, you couldn't guess this lead topic. You don't even bother. I'm just going to tell you what it is.
Okay, all right, fine. It's not worth even me giving an honest thought about?
No.
Okay.
The lead topic on Cheap Heat this week was if NXT will host an event in Africa in the near future.
Oh.
That's their lead topic.
I was not going to get to that. No, I was not going to get to that.
You would never have ever gotten to that if I gave you an infinite. You ever hear the infinite monkey theory?
I don't believe I have. Heard of that? No, I have not.
So the infinite monkey theory is that if you had an infinite amount of monkeys and an infinite amount of typewriters, and they just mashed their fucking monkey paws on the typewriters, right? Eventually, every work ever written would accidentally be typed out by the monkeys.
Right, okay.
Because it's an infinite number. You know what I mean? Like
the best of times, the worst of times, yeah.
Right, like, eventually, fucking Bill James Historical Baseball Abstract is going to be typed out to the letter at some point by this infinite number of one of these fucking monkeys, because that's infinite, right? And as humans, we can't really wrap our head around that, but that's the truth, right? If I gave you an infinite number of guesses, you would have never fucking guessed that. What is that? Will NXT host an event in Africa?
Yeah, has that been discussed? Like, I didn't listen to the entire quarter 3 conference call from WWE, but was that something mentioned that we're going to do events in, or are they just theorizing since they are doing stuff at? Yeah, I don't know. That's strange. Yeah, I don't know. That's a bizarre one, but I mean, I guess, yeah, probably. I mean, they'll try, I'm sure, right? What's the? I don't understand how it's any more of a topic than like, yeah, I mean, that'd be cool if they tried it. All right. Next topic. Like I don't know how you can sit down and like have a very long discussion about that. It's just like, well, they'll do it or they won't do it. I don't know.
Maybe you got to be a regular Cheap Heat listener to get it. Yeah, I don't know, but it looks like the consensus though, Rich, for lead topic would be the Austin Theory botched cash-ins.
That would be if you averaged all 3 of the Ringer podcasts. If you got, speaking of Bill James, you got analytical about this and you put all those topics in there and weighted where they were in the run sheet. Yes, the Austin Theory blunder cash-in of his Money in the Bank briefcase would indeed be the leader in the clubhouse there.
So in that corner of the wrestling fandom, people that watch Raw every week, maybe watch SmackDown if there's nothing else to do. Maybe watch Dynamite if there's nothing else to do, but they don't really like the AEW product. Like that corner of the fandom, the hot topic this week is Austin Theory's cash-in. So I say we discuss Austin Theory's botched cash-in. Let's try to expand our horizons and, maybe try to fit in with, would you call these, I'm going to hate myself for using this phrase, Rich.
Don't call them the mainstream wrestling podcast.
I was going to use a worse one. I was going to call them normie wrestling podcast. Yes, right? Was that what you would call the Ringer Wrestling podcast?
Yeah, it's not the worst way to describe them. No, it certainly is not.
I puked a little in my own mouth using the term normie, but because I hate when people use that term. So that's the hot topic this week among your common wrestling fan. The Austin Theory failed cash-in. So, like a good podcast host, like the professional that I am.
Yeah, like I said, any wrestling podcast worth their weight has to talk about this. Big story, biggest story.
Listen, I've got takes on everything. So I'll give you a take. You want a take on that?
Let's take.
I'll give you a take on the botched cash-in. Here's what I have to say.
Okay, so people that do not know, Austin Theory on the on Raw this week cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. There was a lot of reports. I believe Louis Dangor heard from another Twitter account that it wasn't going to happen, but then it did happen. A lot of people were like, no, they're going to keep the briefcase on him for a year. Pretty much the day that everybody said that, he cashes in on one Seth freaking Rollins, who is the current United States heavyweight champion. You all knew that. But it did not happen. He cashed in, but then Bobby Lashley interfered. So it was a failed Money in the Bank briefcase cash in. Austin Theory trying to win the United States Championship and did not do so.
Yeah, as an aside, I love that Vague Guesser WrestleVotes is now has an official tie-in with our pal Louis Dangor and Give Me Sport.
Well, I just that it's like WrestleVotes tells Give Me Sport that this is going to be the thing, and I'm like, well, okay, that's not news though.
No, he's just a vague guesser is what he does.
But it just looks so weird because it just looks like one person is telling another person WWE's pretty high on Raquel Gonzalez, and then they're reporting that as news.
Well, Louis thinks this guy
a person that told me WWE's really high on Raquel Gonzalez. It's like, all right, cool.
Louis is convinced that this vague guesser is an inside source, so he's using it.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping is whoever's behind the WrestleVotes account is at least shaking some money out of Gimme Sport for his vague guessing. That would be quite the work, right? Because let's be honest, that guy got like a couple things right a million years ago and maybe knows somebody vaguely connected to the office, and now he just vague guesses and tells Louis half the shit he's told Dan Gore already. Like didn't
the
happen.
Austin Theory thing. Like the next day, they're like, Russell Vogt tells me that the Austin Theory is the plan is for Austin Theory to keep his money in the big briefcase for an entire calendar year, and then literally like a day later, he cashed in and lost it. So
yeah, it wasn't Raquel. Who was the one that he said, "Oh, the office is high on so and so," and it was someone who everyone knows the office is high on. It was it Cora Jade? Maybe
it was Cora Jade. Yeah, I think it was Cora. It was either Fallon Henley or Cora Jade, and I forget which one.
I don't think it was Fallon Henley. I think it was either Cora Jade. If it wasn't Cora Jade, it was someone else who was just utterly obvious that the company likes her. And,
you think the company likes a 21-year-old pushed commodity on their developmental brand. Okay, all right.
Who they've been pushing hard.
Thanks,
right?
Russell Votes. Appreciate it.
Insider information. So that's what I'm saying. I hope he's getting paid at least.
Absolutely.
That would be quite the work. So anyway, Austin Theory. Okay, so obviously he was a Vince project, right? So, and people thought this was a bit. I'm going all the way with it. I'm breaking down.
Oh,
this
no,
Austin
we have
Theory
to. Yeah, that's our lead topic, Austin Theory.
So, this was a Vince project. He was a Vince guy. So even if Triple H doesn't like him as much as Vince, I don't understand why you at least wouldn't get a Roman squash out of it. Why end it this way? At least have Roman at least do an angle on either Raw or SmackDown involving Roman and try to get a rating out of it, or at least get another Roman win out of it. You can continue pushing Roman as dominant if he's someone who just beats a cash-in winner after an exhausting match or something. There's a million ways you could have done it with Roman and gotten something out of it other than just, and that's assuming Triple H doesn't like the guy, which doesn't seem he does as much as Vince. Rather than what they did here, it makes everybody look like a goof. It makes Austin Theory's character looks like a goof. It makes the company look like a goof. Because why would you go after the U.S. title? That doesn't make any sense, right, when you have this briefcase. So, no, it was extremely stupid and, very dumb. That's my take on the Austin Theory botched cash-in.
There you go.
Did you have a take?
My take is just that it felt like, and we had kind of said, like, it's kind of strange that, with Paul Levesque taking over, that there is some old holdovers and weird stuff. And there's a lot of things that are very similar, but it did feel like Austin Theory was the one, like, overnight. There's a lot of stuff that they kind of eased into, or, we'll tell these Vince stories and kind of lead them through. The show is largely kind of the same, but it felt like from day one, like, Austin Theory they did not give a shit about Austin Theory whatsoever. It immediately seemed to stop. That push seemed to just die on the vine, and then it was always like, well, he still has that Money in the Bank briefcase. What's that going to be? And they when he was because he was at Clash of the Castle. If you remember, if you watched Clash of the Castle, he came out during the main event like he was going to cash in or whatever. And then I think it was Tyson Fury, right, that knocked him out or whatever. Yeah. So I was like, well, maybe they're a little bit more high on Austin Theory than I thought they were, because they're not completely burying him. And then he pretty much didn't do anything until here, where it just felt like, at one point, they were just like, all right, look, we need to get this thing off of this guy and move forward. And how are we going to do it? Let's just have him cash in and lose. And we'll start a feud with him and Bobby Lashley, and the feud will be over, and Bobby Lashley will beat him, and then we'll just move on and act like this whole thing didn't happen. So, I don't know. Yeah, it throws yet another. And at this point, like, we're taking the most massive victory lap after we've done this for, 7 years now. We've been taking this victory lap about this Money in the Bank briefcase, that every time somebody wins this thing, all of your normie podcasts, again, I hate...
Doesn't it feel gross saying
it does. I don't like that. I'm not going to say that. All your mainstream, I hate saying that too. I don't know what to say. You know who I'm talking about. You know what we're talking about. All those podcasts will fall over themselves every single time somebody wins the Money in the Bank briefcase and go, wow, WWE is clearly getting behind X, and it's clear that X is in for big things this year. And how many times has that not been the case in recent years? Like, it's just not, and I don't know if that's going to continue under Paul Levesque. I don't know if he's got a completely different vision for what it is. Hell, he might have the vision of fuck this thing. Let's get rid of this thing because it's a weight that nobody wants. But like, it has long since passed being an effective tool for any guy getting over. But yet every single year we got to do the same old song and dance with, oh, this person won Money in the Bank. They're set up for big things this year. And it's just not been the case for a long time. So I would hope that this is an eye-opener that, hey, this thing really doesn't matter that much, but it probably will not be, and we'll do the same thing all over again when, insert whoever, Chad Gable wins it, and they're like, oh, whoa, big things in store for Chad Gable, and probably not big things in store for Chad Gable, but we'll see.
I think we should force ourselves to discuss the consensus lead topic on the Ringer podcast.
No, I don't like it.
That's what we should do.
You're gonna force me to watch Raw more, and I don't want to do that.
Well, that's the whole fun of it, because we're
it's not fun. There's nothing fun about watching Raw. No, that's not fun.
There's gonna be one where we see this one.
Don't do this to me. No, I've broken Raw, and I'm not going back, Joe. I'm not going back.
See, if we were doing this last week, we would have had to talk about Nikki Cross's return without either one of us having watched it. So
that's a good gimmick, I guess. I guess that's a good
right, because this one we got lucky because we actually had some thoughts on this. I gotta tell you, my whole life I've strived to be a normie. When I was a kid, I used to watch this is a true story. I used to watch The Wonder Years. Are you familiar with The Wonder Years?
Yes, I'm familiar with The Wonder Years, of course.
Kevin Arnold, Winnie Cooper, the whole gang, right? Dan Lauria as the dad.
The very upset dad. I was always like, man, that dad's a fucking asshole, right? Like that the whole time I watched this show, now he was such a prick. Like they're like, Dad, can we get a Christmas tree? He's like, it's like, well, it's 2 days before Christmas. Buy the kids a fucking Christmas tree, guy. And he did. He would always do it, but it was always like, all right. It's like, it's 2 days before Christmas. Buy him a fucking tree, dude. Like, come on.
That was a 1960s / early 1970s middle-class dad through the eyes of a 12-year-old son. It was accurate, right? That's probably how his son's wrong.
That's fair.
And speaking of Dan Lauria, the other
Dan Lauria lore?
I do. The other role he was famous for just fits like a fucking glove. Rich. On Broadway, I may not have been Broadway, but I know he played Vince Lombardi in a play for many years.
Yeah,
is he not the perfect Vince Lombardi?
Absolutely.
Like, that guy was born to play Vince Lombardi even more than he was born to play, Mr. Arnold on the fucking anyway, The Wonder Years. I used to watch The Wonder Years when I was a kid.
Jason Hervey. This has a wrestling connection. Jason Hervey,
Yes, it does. So I'd watch
long
the
time Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff was a long time hanging around of Jason Hervey, and then Hervey kicked him to the curb, and now Eric Bischoff's in bankruptcy. Anyway, go on.
Yes, I used to watch this show when I was a kid, and I was like the same age as Kevin Arnold was on the show. Like we were like the same. So I was relatable, and I would watch the show. And
by the way, I know you had the absolute hots for Karen, right? The sister.
Not really.
Really? Thinking of you, I think that would be. I thought that'd be central casting for you.
Rich,
okay.
I didn't like leftist hippies even when I was a kid, so I was not into the sister.
That's true. She was.
So
I forget. Did she just run away to join like a commune or something like that?
Yeah.
They wanted to write her off, so she's like, "I'm gonna go join a cult or something." They're like, "All right, see ya," and then she just left. So
she was off protesting something, and I was annoyed by that.
Vietnam.
When I was 11,
she was like, "Fuck this war." Yeah,
So I would watch this show, and. I didn't grow up with any money. I grew up lower middle class, public housing. Me and my two brothers crammed in one room, even though I was 9 years older than one of them. And, my parents tried their best, and there was always food on the table. I don't want to overdo it. We weren't like dirt poor or anything. We had everything we needed. But I would watch The Wonder Years, and I would watch the opening to the show, and I would think to myself, man, they live in a house. Kevin has his own room, and he's got a sister and a brother, and a dad who wears a collared shirt to work, and a mom with the apron making dinner. And it's like, God, that's what I want. Like, that's all I want. I don't want a lot in life. I just want Kevin Arnold's life. You know what I mean? Little house in the suburbs, couple kids. I just wanted to be a normie. I wanted to be a normie my whole life. Then you grow up, and you become one, and people rip it like it's a bad thing. Like, the normies. What's wrong with that? That's all I ever wanted as a kid. And I got it. That's what I am. I got myself a decent...
Got a yard. You got some dogs.
Got a yard.
Now you got
I got
a cat.
a yard with a fence, a fucking cat and a dog. Nice neighborhood with the fucking gate out front, a wife, couple kids. I got 4 TVs in the den. This is all I ever wanted. And then people got to shit on it. All I ever wanted was the nuclear family. And now it's a bad thing. So I don't know. That's why the term normie, it just makes me puke in my mouth, But that's what the fucking Ringer podcasts are. So anyway, now
they do make you puke in your mouth. All right, yes, go on.
To our real lead topic, which only this show will lead with, but it's apropos of this show. And it speaks to, like, we make fun of the shows leading off with Austin Theory, but that's clearly a bigger topic than, but in our universe.
No, not in the VOW universe. No. Not in the Flagship universe at all. No.
So there's nowhere else to go this week other than Nick Aldis and the NWA. I mean, where else would we start?
Absolutely,
Rich,
of course.
I wrote over 3,000 words on Nick Aldis and the NWA behind our paywall this week on the $10 tier. I wrote 0 words on Austin Theory's failed cash-in, just to give people perspective here. But look, I don't think there's anywhere else to start because, maybe if there was a bigger, I don't feel like there's a bigger story in our universe. We'll get to New Japan and, the Will Ospreay Naito main event, and we'll get to the Crown Jewel and the Logan Paul stuff. We'll talk about all that. But we're opening up with Nick Aldis and the NWA.
Yeah, what's causing all this? What's causing all this, baby?
That's right.
That is the title of your piece, What's Causing All This? Utter turmoil and the state of the NWA, that is available at flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon, however you want to get there. You can get there. And yeah, the state of the NWA. And you might not know, but there is an NWA pay-per-view this weekend, NWA Hard Times 3. 14 matches, Joe, on NWA Hard Times 3. And we will preview each and every one of those matches coming up here because this is the NWA and this is the Flagship, and we will always talk about the NWA here on the Flagship. But talk a little bit about your piece and what's been going on in the NWA for people that have not followed the news and the notes lately. I think all this story is pretty big. I think most people have at least followed some of that, but let's catch everybody up and then we'll talk about what we were able to find and a little bit more of the big picture topics of what's going on in the NWA right now.
So all this went on his paid Instagram. I didn't even know you could do that. I guess
you can do Instagram subscriptions now. Yes,
I would guess that the butt models and stuff make a killing on that.
Yes,
right?
They do. Yeah, I can attest. They.
Oh, you can. How many do you subscribe?
I do. Well, Joe, I in the shoot job, I have run-ins with butt models, but no, nothing. I do not subscribe to any of them. So
you don't subscribe to any of the butt models?
I don't.
Okay.
There's enough free butts. There's enough free butts on Instagram.
There's so much free butt.
I literally just switched to my job account and I just saw a giant butt. The first thing was just this giant ass. It's incredible to scroll like with the nurse next to me and she's like, "What is your Instagram feed?" I'm like, "Look, these are all people in the fitness world. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's not my fault, but butts aplenty." So
listen, I understand that we're supposed to clap, respect, clap, sex, clap, workers, clap. I understand that. I'm not paying for butts or porn. I'm sorry. I can't do it. There's too much free butt and too much free porn. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
and you're getting great butts on the regular for free too. So
yeah. So it's just, I can't do that. I'm not that much of a fiend. But Nick Aldis on his paid Instagram feed, announced that he was giving his notice to the NWA, which confused some people because he was under contract. I think that give notice is just vernacular that has stuck with wrestling from the territory days. In other words, he wasn't telling Billy Corgan that he's leaving in 2 weeks to go work in New York. What he was saying was, I'm not going to re-sign when my contract is up in January. But the phrase give notice, that's what you used to say back in the territory days. You'd give notice to the promoter and leave. And I just think that's one of those wrestling things that is stuck. So for anyone who was confused about that, I think that was the deal there because his contract, as reported by Mike Johnson, PW Insider, runs till January. And he was saying that he'd be done at that point and not re-signing. But, he the post is down now. He took it down, but, he called he said he can't work for the promotion anymore because it's become an embarrassment. And he said some other things and went pretty hard on, he didn't just simply go on there and give a polite statement saying he wasn't going to resign. It was pretty harsh. So
and, then the tone of his voice. I mean, it was a guy that he's probably not coming back to that guy. You know what I mean? Like when you were done listening to it, it was like, yeah, this guy's finished. It's he doesn't want to go back, and I doubt the company would want him back after what was, the tone that was being said and just the general, what it felt like after that thing. So yeah, I was not surprised to see what followed up.
Yeah, so the NWA put out a statement saying they were yanking them from the pay-per-view and they weren't going to use them moving forward, and that was going to be that. And then Corgan, went on to say on Busted Open the next day that he'll be paid through the end of his contract, but, he's just going to sit him out, which I really can't blame Billy Corgan, because if you can't – listen, I don't care how aggrieved you are. You can't publicly trash the company like that, say it's become an embarrassment, and then just show up on Saturday in the locker room and
put your bag down, start shaking everyone's hands. All right, what's the timesheet? How long do we have to go? Like, yeah, you can't. No, you're kind of done. Yeah, it's kind of done when you do that.
This is kind of a lesser version of what Punk pulled, right? Like, not nearly as severe, but it's the same thing. You're disrespecting the company. You're disrespecting the boss. And I don't know this to be true, but I wouldn't be surprised if all this knew this would be the outcome and
yeah, I'm sure. Like I said, I think that there was some intent there. Like, I'm just going to do this, and this will probably be the end of it. If it's not the end of it, well, fuck, whatever. I'll keep showing up and doing whatever. But this will probably be the end of it, and that's fine. That's because I don't really want to go back there. I'm good kind of closing this chapter of my career. There had to be some intent. He didn't think that he was going to, hit stop on this thing and that, Billy was going to say, "Hey, see you Saturday, pal." Like, I was like, can't wait to see you. We'll discuss things on Saturday. Like, no, he had to know that this was going to be the result.
Yeah, he probably knew he'd be not welcome back, and that would be that. And he probably wasn't looking forward to wrestling Odinson this weekend. So then all this goes on Twitter and grandstands, of course. It says, "Oh, well, I had every intention of, because I respect the fans, I had every intention of coming to the pay-per-view and fulfilling my obligations." And it's like, fucking jerk off motion. You know what I mean? Like, and he's saying, like, and the NWA, I guess, doesn't share my values. Buddy, you went on a public forum and called the company an embarrassment. Okay? Listen, save it. Save that shit. If you would have went on your Instagram and just gave a all business classy statement and said, "I've enjoyed my time with the NWA. I thank Billy Corgan and Pat Kenny for all their support over the years. I look forward to taking on Odinson this weekend. And come January, I'm going to see what the future holds for me." And then they yanked you from the show. Then you can say, "We must not share the same values, and I care about the fans and all you." But you can't trash the company and expect them to just welcome you with open arms to come work the show and then say that your values were trashing them publicly. Okay, so I don't want to hear that from Aldis. He's full of shit. Like I said, my gut tells me he wanted this outcome. Just stay home. We'll pay you for the next 3 months, and then we're out of each other's hair.
Right. But he's smart enough to know how to play the PR game, like you said. And then, when NWA says, "Hey, hit the bricks, pal," then he's already got it ready to say, "Hey, no, I wanted to work because I love the fans, and wrestling fans deserve it." All right.
They don't share my values. I'm just trying to do business.
You're not. You're like unequivocally not trying to do business.
You trash them, and even if you're justified, you trash them. So, So he gets pulled. Now, the whole thing is he got pulled from the last pay-per-view, right? But then it was pretty obvious that all of this was a work.
Right. But we're past that. So that we're past the work point in terms of.
Well, we think. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
So Corgan says it's not a work. Aldis says it isn't a work. Joe Galley, who is the chief operating officer, all of a sudden wasn't aware of that. No. He says it's not a work. And he went on record with PW Insider saying, this is not a wrestling angle. And they made it a point to say that he wanted to go on record with that statement. So Joe Galley saying it's not a work. Our source says it is not a work, correct? Because this was you that had the communication.
Yes.
So our source says it's not a work.
Correct.
Someone intimately familiar with all parties. Right. That's how I phrased it. I think that's the fairest way to say it. So here's the thing. And Corgan admitted on Busted Open that it started as a work, but is no longer a work, right? So if it is a work, congratulations, they have successfully fooled everyone, right? Because nobody thinks it's a work anymore.
Right.
The problem with that, though, Rich, is if it is a work, what does that accomplish and how does it make money?
Right. How are more people going to buy your show on Saturday with this being the central story of it? And they're not.
How is Nick Aldis calling the promotion an embarrassment selling more pay-per-views? How is Nick Aldis saying that Billy Corgan and Trevor Murdoch are disrespectful to his wife and disrespectful to women's wrestling, going to help your promotion and sell more pay-per-views. The objective of a work, right, is to make money, do something that generates interest. And I guess from the standpoint of we're leading off with the NWA, you could argue that the work has, and the fact that that all of this has captured the headlines of wrestling sites when the NWA never captures the headlines of wrestling sites. You could maybe argue from that point of view that if it's a work, it is working, but I still don't see how that's going to convert to money. So, look, if it's a work, they fooled everyone. I don't think it's a work. Okay. And if it is a work, I think it's a stupid work. If Nick Aldis comes busting out of the curtain as Odinson's mystery opponent, like, what have we accomplished here? So,
yeah, it's one of these classic, a lot of times people will, say, oh, well, it's all the story. But okay, but yeah, it's a bad story. It's a story that does not make anybody look good in this situation, doesn't help the company. And that's a lot of work shoots can get this way. That's why, we've discussed it with AEW too. There's been times where they've kind of towed that line and ultimately you don't, there's a level that you want to do a work shoot, this guy against the company, but you don't want to make it where the company looks incompetent or dumb or, silly or stupid or whatever. And, the MJF AEW stuff got pretty close, and I think some people would argue got to that point. I don't know if it quite got there, but you got to be careful. You got to toe that line, because at the end of the day, you don't want to heal your company. You don't want the company to look like incompetent or your leaders to look incompetent. It just there's no benefit to it. Ultimately, there's nothing that you're going to get as a result of that. So yeah, if this is the story and then he shows up and goes ha 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 ha, it's like, all right, I mean, cool. So Nick Aldis is back. It just made the whole week look kind of silly in hindsight.
Yeah, so I think we've given that too much air, honestly, because I don't think it's a work.
No, and everybody we've talked to has said it's not. So, and I have no reason for all those people to lie as well.
And and I think MJF and Tony Khan want everyone to think that he is a free agent at the end. That MJF is a free agent at the end of 2023 with this War of 24 thing, whether or not he really is or not. I don't have any inside information, but I think that he got extended when he got his raise. And I think that the War of 24 thing is a storyline. That's my personal belief. I could be wrong, but I think they want everyone to think, whether it's true or not, that he's going to be a free agent and then turn that into a big television storyline at the end of next year. That's neither here nor there, but only because you brought it up. But anyway, so and then all this, went on to say once he was pulled from the show, now the gloves are off and both sides are taking shots at each other. And all this did retweet a bunch of stuff and quote tweet a bunch of stuff saying that the lack of an Empower follow-up and the treatment of Mickie James, who is his wife, by Billy Corgan, and some of the things Corgan and Trevor Murdoch have had to say publicly about the lack of an Empower had something to do with. Now, he didn't say it was the reason, but he said it contributed to his decision to not come back to the company. So, and that's the other piece of this is now, ever since the first Empower show, every time an NWA pay-per-view cycle comes up and Billy Corgan goes on his press junket and Trevor Murdoch, as the NWA World Champion, goes on his little press junket, the first thing that these interviewers ask, or one of the first things that they ask, is, why haven't you done a follow-up to Empower? And Billy Corgan and Trevor Murdoch keep putting their fucking feet in their mouths. They keep fucking up the answer. Stop saying there's not enough female talent. Will you please stop giving that answer? Even if you really believe that there's not enough female talent to run a second successful Empower show that makes money this time, as opposed to the one that lost money, which Corgan went on record again on Busted Open and said that he felt the show was a success, but it lost money. Okay. And if you don't feel like there's enough talent out there to do one that makes money and that's your reason, just say that.
Yeah. It's a very strange thing. Yeah. It's a very strange thing that they're doing, that they, for some reason, think that it will be better PR to say, well, there's no good women's wrestlers, than just saying, hey, look, we tried it and we lost money and unfortunately we're a business and that's, we're we're beholden to budgets, and we're a business that's trying to make money, and the last one just didn't make money. So moving forward, it's an idea we'll continue to think about for the future, but at this time there are no plans to do another one because we have to think of what's going to be best for the business and best for the NWA. But for some reason, that's not the answer they give. They like to give the answer, well, there's no good women wrestlers. And it's like, no, that's not going to go well. That's not going to go well. Bad faith people will get annoyed about you saying it was bad business, but who cares? Those people aren't worth your time.
No, but here's what it does, though. Every news site is going to run that headline because it's good for clicks. You saying that there's not enough good female talent that's a gold mine to these wrestling news sites because they're going to run that. Billy Corgan, and then a fucking colon. And then,
colon.
Not enough women's talent in America. You're gift wrapping them bullshit content. And then everyone gets fired up about it. Here's a direct quote he made on Busted Open. And this is Corgan, quote, "Nothing is more dumb than trying to spin a guy like me who ran an all-women's pay-per-view, which was a huge success. I built it around Mickie James as a talent and personality. I endorsed the whole thing. I let her build the card, and I lost money doing it. But now I'm against women's wrestling? Come on. This is silly. The conversations with Mickie were about running a subsequent Empower. I said, if it's not going to be as good or better, we probably shouldn't do it right now. If people remember what I said, and they obviously don't," and then he goes on to say, "there isn't enough top women talent available on the market right now." What he's saying is those two statements he said together. I lost money. If we can't do one that's better that can make money, I don't think we should do another one. And there isn't enough top women out there right now to do a better one. And those statements all together are perfectly reasonable. The problem is you should leave off the part that says there's not enough talent out there on the market right now, because that's never going to go well for you. Just say it didn't make money. Say you don't think you can make money on it again running another one, and leave it at that.
Right. Let the bad faith people say, well, you booked the wrong women. You should book this person. And that's fine. They're going to do that. But yeah, you're just giving people on a platter if you just say, there's no good women's wrestlers in the world right now. I mean, all you're doing is letting every women's wrestler quote tweet you and dunk on you. You're letting every news site, publish that headline like you said. There's just nothing good that can come of that. Just a terrible, terrible way to approach this.
Here's his retort to all this, saying that he mistreated Mickie in the discussions. He says, all right, here it is. Quote, "That was part of the discussion with Mickie. It doesn't have to be built around you. There are other ways to do this. We didn't agree on the business part of it. We tabled it and wanted to do it at a later date. If she took that wrong, I apologize. Let me say one thing personally. I've known Mickie James for 20 years. I've only been in the wrestling business with her for a few. I think of her as a friend first, and I think if Mickie has a problem with me, she should pick up the phone and go, I didn't like the way this went down. The issues with Mickie never came up with Nick in the last 6 months. If it's this huge issue, it never came up, not even once. If it was an issue from when it started around NWA 74, he's worked for the company another 10 to 15 times and been paid. There are people throwing logs on the fire to create smoke to divert from the fact that they're on about something. It seems obvious they're after something. She doesn't work for me. He does. They want to get out early. Just say you want to get out. It's this weird thing of I have to be a babyface and bury the company. It's bad conspiracy stuff. Now I'm in a position of defending something that doesn't need to be defended, end quote. So he contends that Aldis and James never came to him to say that they had a problem with the way he was dealing with her for a follow-up show. And that he would have listened to them if they said, hey, look, you're out of line. And he also says if Aldis wanted out, he would have let him out. In fact, he says at another point in the interview that Aldis has known all along that if he ever gets an offer from WWE, that they had a handshake agreement to let him out of his contract to go. So, I don't know. I mean, and here's the other thing about Aldis, okay? A lot of people have heat with him. Like, he's not super well liked among people that have come through the NWA. Okay, that needs to be said. And that needs to be part of this. I think Corgan obviously has his flaws. Okay, he doesn't, the terrible answer he keeps giving to this, and the way that he runs his company obviously isn't ideal. But it doesn't sound to me when I look at all the evidence that Aldis handled this properly. Okay? If he had a problem with the guy, I think Corgan's right. He should have came to his boss and said, hey, I have a problem with you. You're just being disrespectful to my wife, or you're not negotiating with her in good faith, whatever the problem was. And then you can't just go publicly trashing the company and expect the guy to come let you work dates. I mean, that's just utterly ridiculous. Yeah. You can't do that. So, but Corgan, he's got to stop harping on this idea that there's not enough talent, even if he believes it, because it'll never go over well. And I don't blame him if he thinks that, because the last Empower was loaded and he lost money. And that was even with Tony Khan at least fitting part of the bill. I mean, we all assume he just paid the AEW talent. Maybe he paid more. Listen,
his quotes have seemed to indicate, at least to me, that the Tony Khan's quotes has indicated to me that maybe he paid for a little bit more than just his talent, or helped out in a way more beyond just paying for his talent.
Because he brought it up a million times.
Yes, he's brought it up hundreds of times at this point.
The thing about Khan, I'm not letting him off the hook, because there was a period there where every time he got challenged on the way that he books his women's division, he would automatically bring up, oh, well, I if it wasn't for me, that NWA Empower show would have never happened. And I paid for the Empower. I'm paraphrasing, but he used to use that as a defense to defend his own booking. And Corgan has a right to be annoyed with that, because you have this guy just constantly saying that he was the reason that this show happened and the reason it was a success. So here's what Corgan said. I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said, quote, Tony Khan has signed a tremendous amount of top female talent. I'm not in a working relationship with AEW. I can't just pick up the phone and say, hey, can you send me some people? Part of that was Tony trying to take credit for what Mickey had accomplished. We were in discussions with Impact about doing something. I'm not a miracle worker. If I say this is about empowerment, which to me is about people who have not had an opportunity to speak on the stage before. Okay, so then he goes all that. But point here is, okay, you can see him biting back at Tony Khan. Stop taking credit for something Mickey James put together. Okay, and he honestly has a right to be annoyed about that. Now, if Tony Khan fit the entire bill for the whole fucking show, then Tony Khan has a right to now counter and throw that after. But if that was the case, then Corgan wouldn't have lost money. Okay, Corgan must have put part of the bill or most of the bill here because he contends that he lost money on the show. And when we broke it down piece by piece, I think it's pretty obvious the show lost money.
Oh, there's no way that it made money. There's
I don't
no
see
way.
how it made money.
There's absolutely no way. Like, I don't know how much it lost. Like, there's no. It's hard to tell about that, but there's absolutely no way on earth that show made money. There were no way they were in the black at the end of that show. No way.
We were conservative with our estimates of the costs of using the 40 some odd additional talents and backstage people to put on that show, and we still couldn't figure out a way that it made money based on the buys that were reported. What was it, 4,000 or 5? I can't remember the exact
something like
number.
that, but it was not enough. I mean, there's no way to cover the cost.
There's no way. It definitely lost money, and I don't see how. Look, the only way he can run another show, all women show, is if he uses his own crew who are going to be there anyway. You know what I mean? Like, he cannot bring in all of this outside talent and make money, because the first one was the proof of that. And here's how you know. There's some people who will say, oh, well, he's probably lying about losing money. Rich, do you know the easiest way to tell that it's the truth that this show didn't make money?
They'd never run another one.
The fact that he's not doing another one, you knucklehead. Right. If it made money, he would do it again. I mean, just use your head. You can't be that dumb. If it was successful, they would have done another one immediately. So it obviously lost money. So, I mean, and if you do one just with your own crew, then there's really nothing special about it. And I don't know if necessary. So look, I can understand why he's not doing another one. What I can't understand is why he keeps like burying the available talent that's never going to go over well. And here's the other thing that bothers me. Everyone coming with their pitchforks and torches towards this guy for not running another show. How about get on these other promotions to just do one? At least he tried. Like, why does he get all the heat? At least he attempted this. WWE did one.
They did one.
And we all know it was PR to cover for getting into bed with the Saudis. We all know that.
What?
Everyone is familiar with that.
What? Are you kidding?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So They do one. They haven't done one since.
No, they haven't done one since either. Yeah, no. That is pretty funny how they kind of get left out of that. Where they did
how
one.
Come they don't get any of this
right around the time they said, "Hey, we're gonna start doing Saudi pay-per-views," and then they never did another one, and now nobody's like, "Ah, well, all right." Nonetheless, nevertheless,
they're the market leader. They're the most visible. If you really care about equity, opportunity, women empowerment, and all of that shit, they're the ones that can make a difference. Not Billy's little side project where barely 4,000 people are going to pay for it. Okay? Get on their case for not doing a second one. But why do they get off the hook? And theirs wasn't a business success either. But they can listen, if they lose $50,000, I'm just throwing a number out there, on a second, what was their show called? Evolution?
Evolution, yeah.
If they let's say they lose $100,000 running, which sounds absurd, running a second Evolution show, that's a fucking rounding error on their bottom line. It doesn't. So they can afford to absorb a loss in the name of equity, in the name of equality, in the name of the women's revolution. The NWA cannot. If the NWA loses $5,000, they're fucked. This is essentially a mom and pop operation compared to the billion-dollar conglomerate, publicly traded company. This is a guy who is rich by the standards of 99% of the people listening to us right now, but he's not wealthy. He's not Tony Khan. He doesn't have $8 billion. He's not WWE. When has Tony Khan done an all-women show? He likes to puff his chest out and say that he helps pay for Empower. When has he done his own? No one's on. Well, I shouldn't say no one's on his case. They're on his case a lot.
Every week they're on. Yeah, they're on his case.
But how come no one's on WWE's case about doing a second Evolution? When they're the market leaders and they can make the biggest impact and they can make the biggest statement and they can be the trendsetter by doing these. They could do one every fucking month if they wanted to. Right? How come MLW's never done one? Impact hasn't done one since they were doing those dopey $9.99 Joker's Wild fucking weekly shows fucking 5 years ago.
Oh yeah. And those did those laughable amounts of pay-per-view buys as well. The
no, I don't count those.
Yeah.
On a mainstream American level, two places have done them. The WWE as a PR stunt to cover for taking blood money, okay? And the NWA, who did one in good faith and hired a woman to run it, hired a woman to put it together, hired all female agents to work the show.
Referees, talent,
hired all female referees, brought in a full crew of fresh talent, including international flight, put a decent, honest effort into it. Okay? And we're on that person's case because they keep putting their own foot in their mouth, but you're on that person's case for not doing another one, and everybody else is off the hook, including WWE? That's the one that annoys me. That part annoys me so much. Get on their case. Okay? That's bullshit. This guy should take another bath. Meanwhile, WWE won't do one until they have another PR mess that they have to cover for. But you let them off the hook. I sound like Dennis Green. But you let them off the hook. It's a joke. So you got me out here vehemently defending at Billy. It's crazy. But at the same time, Rich, I don't have sympathy for him because he keeps saying the wrong things.
Right. It's again, and that's the problem. I don't understand why they think that it's a better PR move to say there's just not enough talent out there as opposed to just say. I mean, I understand. Like I said, bad faith people will get upset about it, but you don't have to worry about them because they're bad faith, and it makes no sense when you really think about it. But like, just say it didn't make us money, so we haven't done another one. I hate to say it, but it didn't get supported enough, and we didn't make enough money from it, so we're just not going to do it again.
His argument is he says that and then says the reason he doesn't think it can make money again is because of the talent pool, and he's annoyed that people separate the two comments. This is a man who's been in a major rock and roll band for the better part of, 3 decades at this point?
Pretty much 3, yeah. Oh, wow. Definitely 3 decades at this point.
He cannot be that media ignorant to not understand why they're splitting up the two statements. How does he not understand this? That's why I don't feel bad for him. He has to understand that if he gives a long, detailed answer, okay, that they're going to clip the worst and most salacious part of that answer and use it for their headlines. He has. How does he not, Rich? How does he not understand that? So you stop saying that. Did you hear Tony Khan when he was either on with Helwani or he was on, I think it was on when he was on with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. That's what it was. He said, he was giving an answer and he goes, and you know what? I've learned I have to be careful what I say and the order I say it and how I say it, because the worst parts of what I say end up on the news sites. Okay. This man's been promoting wrestling for 3 years and he has learned and he understands. This man has been in the public eye for 30 and he doesn't understand why this is continually an issue. Stop saying it, dopey. Pull Trevor Murdoch aside. Why does Trevor Murdoch keep saying?
Yeah, let's not. Why is Trevor Murdoch answering these questions? Just say, like, I don't know, talk to Billy, man. Like,
yes,
I'm talking about NWA Hard Times 3, where I'm in the main event defending my title against Matt Cardona and Tyrus. Like, you don't. Why is Trevor Murdoch getting involved in this? Go away. Yeah. Stay out of it.
Yeah.
You don't need to dig this hole. What are you digging this hole for? Stop.
Yeah, when Wrestling Inc. asked Trevor Murdoch why they haven't done another Empower, Trevor Murdoch should say, that's a Billy Corgan decision. You should ask him that question. End of answer.
Right. I'm just the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I don't get involved in the business aspect of things.
I'm training hard for Tyrus, and I'm concentrating on Saturday's match. I don't make the booking decision. That's all. Done. But this man continually keeps giving worse answers than Corgan gives. They're doing it to themselves. And now every time an NWA pay-per-view comes up, this is the topic that dominates the discussion. When are you going to do another Empower? And it's their own fault.
Well, and
there's a lot of people at fault for all of this. You know what I mean? It's like none of these people are. I'm not letting anybody off the hook. You know, Khan needs to stop hiding behind that every time his own booking is challenged. Okay, all right, great. You paid for Kylan King. How many back pats you want for that? Okay, I mean, geez. And if there's more to the story, by all means, let us know. You know, Corgan needs to stop saying dumb things. He's got to get Trevor Murdoch in line. Nick Aldis got to stop publicly burying the company. You know, the whole thing's a mess.
It also highlights a bigger thing, and then we'll get into hard times as well, and anything more with the Aldis situation. It more than anything, it makes you say, like, man, if you were another company, do you want to get involved in even doing one of these shows, or are you better off just being like, you know what, just do our own little thing? Like, because you said there's a lot of companies that nobody gets mad about, nobody screams about, nobody hand rings about, because they just don't get involved in it. They don't get involved in intergender, they don't get involved in booking all women's shows. They just kind of do their thing, and it's off there in the background, and nobody gets at them, nobody cares. And we've talked about that for New Japan for years, and obviously we're going to talk about a break from that tradition that's coming up very, very soon here in November. But it's just like, I would see all this and go, why would we ever consider doing this if this is the reaction that it's going to get, and that we know. And you know, I saw a bunch of people say this. Adam Lash was somebody who had a tweet a thread about this and said, here's the truth: Billy Corgan doesn't do another women's event because they aren't financially profitable. If enough fans supported women's wrestling events, there would be a lot more of them. Unfortunately, not enough do. And if we're being honest, most of the people complaining about it on Twitter wouldn't pay to see them anyway. As it stands, the preeminent women's wrestling company in the United States for the last 17 years, Shimmer, hasn't run an event in over a year, and as far as I know, has no plans to do so anytime soon. It sucks, and I hope it changes, but women's wrestling isn't in a good place, and I think that sums it up pretty well.
Gotta buy the fucking shows.
And they just don't.
He's dead on about it, and believe me, he's no Corgan apologist.
No, okay? I left out the part where he says, now in general, I say, fuck Billy Corgan. But that's not that. But that's also the reason why every other company that used to run women's events no longer does.
Yeah, and even if you're not a Corgan apologist, you can still be honest about the situation.
Yeah,
he's a promoter, and in the grand scheme of things, a small time promoter, and he lost money. What the fuck? What do you want the guy to do? Okay, run another one and lose more? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, and Lash is dead on, because not only the vast majority of people who complain about these comments aren't buying the shows, they're not even pirating them. No one's watching these NWA shows. And all of a sudden, you give a shit about the NWA, and you give a shit about whether or not they run another Empower. These people it's all performative bullshit. Okay, because if these people really cared that much, they all would have bought Empower. And there would have been an Empower 2 because it would have made some money. But nobody bought it. It didn't make any money, and that's why you're not getting another one. And the Shimmer point. No, buy the fucking Shimmer shows. It's maddening because the next NWA pay-per-view cycle, someone's going to ask the question again, and this fucking guy is going to give the same fucking answer and
bad answer.
Double, triple, and quadruple down on there's not enough talent to make money on it. And you know what? You know what's crazy? He's probably right.
Yes.
He's probably right because they used everyone they could last time and they didn't make money. So he's probably not even wrong that there's just that the level of talent out. Now we're gonna get in trouble. But it's like he's probably not wrong. So like you said, I can't go to Tony because obviously we hate each other now. He said he tried to go to Impact and that was a dead end. So what's he left with?
Yeah, WWE's not about to send talent over there. So
hey, he's got his own roster and whatever's on the indies. And, whatever was on the indies plus a couple guys from Tony didn't work last time. So why would it work this time?
Right. And look at the state of it, right? I mean, we have WoW that's out right now, and that's nobody's – I mean, that doesn't matter at all. Nobody gives a shit about WoW. Nobody's watching that show. There's the women's – what's the Maria Kanellis thing? The Women's Wrestling Army thing or whatever? I mean, that is just a complete non-factor as well. It's like it's out there. If you really, truly are about that life and really want to go out there and support women's wrestling no matter what, it's out there. It's there for you. But, the truth of the matter is people spend more time getting mad about it than actually supporting it, and that's why it's in the state that it is right now.
Well, what they want to do is create a list of 30 marginal talents that 27 of them you wouldn't book to work in your backyard, and they want to tell you that you could do a show like that and make. But see, it's not their money. It's not their money. That's the difference. It's real easy to do a Twitter thread and just type up all the names you can think of and then get backpats for it.
Get 900 likes for it and say, haha, I've done it. And it's like, okay, well.
Right. That's the easy part, but the hard part is, okay, well now put up your own money and try to make money with those 30 people you just named, and that's the game that he's playing. It's a different game. But again, I don't feel sorry for him. He does this to himself. If he just would have stuck with his original answer of, unfortunately, it wasn't a financial success, and, we'll look at it down the line, and if we feel like we can make money on it later, we'll do another one, he wouldn't be in this mess every single time his pay-per-views come up. With that said, would his pay-per-views get even a fraction of the press that they get without – could he be playing 4D chess? Is that possible? I picked that
but
question.
Again, I don't know that more people. Ultimately, if the end goal is people buy NWA Hard Times 3, I don't know if this is the way to make them do it. But we're hour one. We're talking NWA, but I ultimately don't think that any of these discussions are making people say, what is going on in the NWA this weekend? All right, let's watch, because it's I don't really know.
There's got to be a gigantic contingent of people who wouldn't otherwise have known that Hard Times 3. Hard Times 3.
Yes.
That Hard Times 3 was even happening this weekend otherwise, right?
Oh, certainly. But yeah, happening versus people buying.
But they're not buying it.
Right.
I mean, so from that aspect, I think there's more awareness of the show. Non-normie niche podcasts.
How many times are we going to say normie today? I don't want to say it anymore.
We're going to see if we did that thing where our podcast had titles. This one would be normie, right? We'd have to do it that way.
If you were cheeky like PWG or something like that, it would just say normie on it. Yeah.
Say Flagship Normie, right? Would be the name of the show this week. It's obviously not going to sell any shows.
No.
But it's certainly
wait till we go over this card. You'll see how many. Well, maybe we'll sell some cards. Maybe we'll sell.
Well, anyway, I wrote. If people are more interested in this topic, there's over 3,000 words that I wrote on this, including reviews of the last 2 Power episodes, the last NWA USA episode, basically the 3 go-home shows leading into the pay-per-view, plus a long essay on all of the assorted turmoil and strife that the company is going through that we just talked about. That's on the $10 tier. it is I don't want to make this a commercial, but this is really a great time to jump in. We have the anniversary billing now, so you don't have to worry about what time of the month it is. But the Hall of Fame shows are coming very soon, and they're coming fast and furious over the next few days. By the time a lot of you are hearing my voice, some of those Hall of Fame shows will be out. In fact, one of them is already out. We've got a ton of written content. You did a history piece on the TNA gut check deal. I did that NWA piece I'm talking about. We've got Full Gear coming up, and we'll have the live instant reaction, plus all the regular stuff like Match of the Week and the Thursday Dynamite review. Right now, the Patreon is going to be just packed with content pretty much every day, and multiple pieces of content on a daily basis. So
yeah, it's stupid. It's the point now where we have to ask each other, like, when are we posting, just so we don't like post 3 things at the same time at the same hour or whatever. So
good time to get in.
An ungodly amount of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, definitely a good time. Flagship patreon.com, patreon.com/voicesofwrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. So we are going to get to NWA Hard Times 3 in a moment. I just want to say, Joe, as I'm doing the show, I always, I have random wrestling matches up on another TV, just kind of watching on the side. I just got done seeing a Davey Richards Pelly Primo match from 2007. It's the Race to the Top tournament. Davey Richards fucking rules so much, man.
Yeah.
Good God, he rocks so much. So he is just beating the shit out of this guy, shoot headbutts, just all the Davey Richards stuff. He wins. He taps, Pelly Primo taps out. Davey Richards gets up, grabs him, and throws him out of the ring, and then he celebrates. I love it. Dumb jock wrestler. It's the best. He just doesn't want him in the ring while he celebrates. He is such
get the fuck out.
Yeah, you're so garbage and you're so beneath my level that I can't even celebrate with you in my presence. So you got to go. And then he celebrates. I love it. He gets up, he shoves the referee, he grabs Pelly Primo, tosses him out of the ring, and then celebrates. He fucking rules. Dumb jock wrestling forever. It's the best.
Out of the ring, geek.
It's the best. Take your dumb trophy with you too, because he was like a top prospect trophy winner or whatever.
Yeah,
stupid trophy. Yeah, he probably calls it a participation trophy too. You know what I mean? Like just to put, even though he definitely won the tournament anyway. But just great dumb jock wrestler stuff. Anyway, all right.
I'm glad that Davey got the second career.
Yeah, and now people respect him too. Even the most ardent like Davey disrespecters are now like, yeah, I guess
he came around
fine.
on him.
Yeah, I guess he's fine.
Yeah, he learned how to get himself over on Twitter, which was smart, right? When he did the whole, I'm an old guy, I don't understand.
What's this Tumblr, and what does it have to do with my washing machine? It's like, no, it's a blog. Right. Oh, okay.
he was the charming version of the fake Buff Bagwell. Remember
Yes, remember that story? That was this year, the fake Buff Bagwell. Remember people falling for that grift of Buff God. Daddy, he's an ally now. It's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah. Marcus Alexander Bagwell, a 60-year-old from Atlanta, Georgia, is an ally now. I don't know. I wouldn't be so sure of that.
I learned all about Bussy, and I support all my LGBT friends. Yeah, whatever, buddy.
You really think Marcus Bagwell is?
Yeah.
All right, more power to you, but don't get disappointed. That was my thing. I was just like, look, you can believe that's Marcus Alexander Bagwell, Buff Bagwell, but I just don't get your heart too set on it, and don't get too let down when it's not Buff Bagwell. And then it turned out, Joe, to not be Buff Bagwell.
The point here is, when Davey did that gimmick, there's a fine line, because it was like the same gimmick, but Davey did it in a subtle, charming, I don't know if subtle is the right word, but in just a charming, uncle kind of, like a cool uncle kind of, like an uncle who's trying to be cool, and it comes off funny and charming, whereas the Buff thing was just overbearing and annoying from the jump, and also obviously fake, right?
But
it was
Davey like thing, you at least had some plausible deniability that this man asked his kids, hey, what is TikTok? And they're like, you're so old, Dad. He was like, well, I'll ask people on Twitter. They'll tell me. You know what I mean? And that's probably... I could see that happening, where Davey Richards is watching the news. They mention TikTok. He looks at his wife and goes, hey, what's TikTok? She's scrolling her phone. She goes, you won't get it. And then he goes, all right, whatever. And then, he asks his kids, and they're like, they're playing their, video games. And he's just like, I'll ask people on Twitter. They'll tell me what TikTok is. So
he was definitely turning it up a notch.
And then it got a little too on the nose. And he did back it down a little bit after that.
Yeah, he never crossed the line into this is overbearing and annoying. And it also helped that when he would say things like, I don't know what an MP3 is. I have a 6 CD changer in my pickup truck, and then would show you a picture of the 6 CD changer in his pickup truck, that it added a little authenticity.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he did that when somebody was talking about Fortnite. And he's like, I don't know anything about this Fortnite, but I still play video games. And it was him playing his Nintendo Wii. He was playing like Wii bowling or whatever. Right, and you're like, all right, that's kind of cool. That but you believe that Davey Richards has a Nintendo Wii hooked up to like a standard def cables into like an HD TV, and it looks like shit. And he plays it once every 9 months or whatever. But yeah, he's like, no, I play some video games. I play Wii bowling every so often. So
yeah. So he kind of the second career, it got him over with everyone finally. Like he's Davies. He goes to these indies and works his ass off. All right, he has the same exact match in every indie he goes to, but if you're watching him in Florida, you don't know that he just had that match in Arizona. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
only weirdos and sickos like us know that he's having the same.
Right, because I'm watching them all and I'm like, these are all the same match, right? But I'm watching them all. So,
and that guy in the locker room doesn't know it's the same match either. When Davey comes in there and goes, all right, here's what we're going to do. This guy goes, sounds great. Yeah, sounds awesome, Davey. Let's do it.
And to be honest, it's a good match.
Right, it's a great template. It's a great template.
It's a solid 3 3/4 star match. Okay,
hey, all great wrestlers have some sort of template. I know people get bothered by that, but that's especially in the old era, it was you played the hits. Every town didn't know what the other town was doing, and that's Davey's doing that thing now where he's just has basically the same match across the world and nobody really knows, so it's fine.
And speaking of Davey, he's on this show that we're about
let's get to Hard Times 3. Yes, you'll be asking at the end of this preview, but we do want to tell you this is available at voicesofwrestling.com/fight. So if you want to order this show on Fight, which you are probably going to want to when we're done previewing this, voicesofwrestling.com/fight is the way that you can do that. So all right. We have a pre-show hardcore team war. Mercurio, Magic Jake Dumas, and Jack Stain versus Anthony Mayweather, JTG, and the Pope.
That's a bunch of guys that should be on the main show.
I was going to say pre-show. These are some superstars here. You got your boy Mercurio. Yeah. You got the Pope is there. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of stars.
Hey, I'm into the Magic Jake Dumas. That guy's gotten over with me. Okay. JTG's doing a nice job. He teams with the Dirty Dango as the Dirty Sexy Boys in the NWA. So I don't see the Dirty Dango on this show.
I don't either. Yeah, maybe he couldn't make it over there. But yeah, I like Magic Jake too. It's so on the nose and it's such an old school gimmick, but they do it. Like if it sounds ridiculous. If you've never watched the NWA, never watched this, a magician and his hot assistant or whatever, it's like, this seems ridiculous. But it works. It's wrestling. Yeah. Like it kind of works. And they play it. They're not like, he doesn't seem embarrassed by it. You know what I mean? Like he is owning the gimmick. She's owning the gimmick, Chrissy Janes as the hot assistant. It works. It's all pretty good.
Yeah.
He hasn't sawed her in half yet though. Yeah. And that's starting to get a little, I'm starting to wonder.
Yeah, it's time to saw her in half. There's no question about it. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right. You could pigeons out of a hat. We've seen it before, but it's time to get going here with the step this up a little bit. All right. We have a Voodoo Queen casket match. Joe, a Voodoo Queen casket match. I'm gonna need some clarification on what the Voodoo Queen casket match is.
It's just a casket match. It's Max the Impaler and Natalia Markova. And Father James Mitchell's involved. He's been cutting some really good promos. He always does. That guy is he might be the most underutilized manager in wrestling over like the last 20 years. I don't understand why he hasn't gotten a real shot in a big, what was the last major shot when TNA was really rolling on Spike, maybe was the last time. He's never been in WWE. He's never been, he may have done a shot or two in AEW as a gag. I can't remember. He's never been in AEW.
I don't think he has. Yeah, I don't even know if he has.
The thing, he might.
Oh no, he did. He did make one. He did. He he did the wedding, the Penelope Ford Kip Sabian wedding. He was the officiant or something like that, which is great. He rocked at that too.
He does weddings for real.
Oh, so that's a shoot. He's a shoot officiant.
He officiates weddings for real.
God damn, I should have Jay Mitchell do my wedding. That would have been great.
So I don't know that he wants to necessarily be full-time in wrestling, but man, he's just, ever since the ECW days, the guy's great. WCW, you go back to WCW, the guy is very great in his role. And the Max the Impaler push has been one of the things that they've really done well on their TV. They do a lot of things poorly. They do it well. Natalia Markova, if you're not familiar with her, will be on TV very soon. just because of Rich. She's easy to look at.
She's
easy to look at.
Got a good
Rich.
look for sure.
She's got a great look for the television, Rich. Some features of hers that are very enjoyable. Talk about the next match, Rich.
Yes, let's do it.
It's not a horny podcast.
It is not a horny podcast.
It's never been a horny podcast, and I am not. And we're not going to get in trouble. I'm just saying she's got a great look.
NWA World TV Championship here. AJ Kazana versus Jordan Clearwater. Vacant NWA World TV Championship.
Well, yeah, because Tyrus had to cash it in.
Right.
So now we need a new champ. I love watching AJ Kazana in this promotion. I love watching him. I love watching Kerry Morton. I love watching Colby Carino. They feel like NWA guys, right? They're all second generation, and they AJ Kazana wrestled Kerry Morton on one of the Powers a few months ago, and it was just a little 6-minute match, but it was so fucking enjoyable. It's what I wish the NWA was. It was more of what it was in the early Lightning One era.
Yeah. And there's aspects of the show that's like, all right, like this match is like a perfectly, and if you watch these NWA shows, there's a few matches that you'll see that are like, all right, yeah, this is what would be good for like the modern NWA. Clean it up with a little bit more, modern aesthetics or whatever. But yeah, just have generational workers, have these people that have been around for a while that have, are in wrestling families that people are aware of, and just put them out there and have them wrestle and have them learn and all that sort of stuff. Because yeah, I'm with you. Colby Carino's that way. AJ Kazan's that way. Kerry Morton is that way. I think Homicide is a great addition. We'll get to him a little bit. The Hawks Ari, I think, is a really cool gimmick. There's a lot of cool stuff. But then there's also Mask versus Mask, question mark versus question mark 2.
Yeah, this stinks. Rodney Mack is question mark. It's the kind of thing. Well, I'm guessing most of the people listening to this don't watch, but like it's the kind of thing where they're not even hiding it. He's Rodney Mack with a mask on. He's got the chain around his neck. He wears the Rodney Mack fucking gear. The tattoos are visible. It's fucking Rodney, So, and then question mark 2 is allegedly the brother of the question mark Josephus, who passed away, and they've this god awful feud. And they're going to do the Mask vs. Mask match. So this is awful. This is the NWA at its worst. It's not really over in front of even their own fans. Everyone's a little creeped out about it. Leave the memories alone. You know what I mean? Just enough of this. It stinks.
Right. Somebody likes this, and I'm not sure who. At
Billy Corgan.
There's one person I know that likes it. It's at Billy. Yeah. All right. MLW National Openweight Championship. Now, this title has now officially been won on television, right? Because Davey's been defending this title for like 6 months, even though it hasn't aired that he actually won it yet, right?
He has not officially won the title.
Still?
If you remember the last NWA pay-per-view we previewed.
That's what I'm saying. The last pay-per-view, he hadn't won it yet.
He defended this title on that pay-per-view, which he hadn't won yet. We're now 3 months on, and he has still not officially won this MLW title on MLW TV, and yet he's defending it for a second time in the NWA. He has defended it in New Japan, New Japan Strong, and he hasn't even won it yet on MLW's television, which, by the way, this week featured Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux in action. If you want to know how things are going with the MLW and their television schedule.
This is great. So this is going to be an all-timer because I discovered doing one of the Patreon shows. I was talking about all 1-day title reigns, 0-day title reigns, and then talked about the Freebirds had like a very famous, negative 17-day, WCW tag team title reign or whatever. This one's getting absurd because he technically won this thing, in June? Let me double check. June or July is when these Battle Riot things were okay. June 23rd, 2022 is when he won it. Yeah. When is that show airing?
Well, they just started on Pro Wrestling TV or the fucking whatever that
Pro Wrestling.tv, I believe it is, yeah.
Some app or something that
I'm not going to download. So.
I looked for it, couldn't find it, got annoyed, and now I'm just not going to watch. They've only aired 1 or 2 episodes, and it's from those tapings. They aired the Battle Riot, and they aired some matches this week or something. Yeah, so I don't know when that match will air soon. But the point is, he keeps defending this title that he hasn't won yet.
This is an all-timer. I can't wait to read about this in like 15 years. This negative 200-day title reign that he's going to have where he's defended it numerous times in other promotions in between. Yeah, he
and I think he's lost it. Has he lost it already?
I don't believe he has.
Spoiler alert, everyone.
But I don't believe he has. I don't believe he has, no.
This is the national... MLW
national title. I know he.
Well, what's the title that Shun Skywalker won in MLW, which hasn't aired yet?
Great question. What the hell is MLW? What is that company? He is the world middleweight champion.
Oh,
Why are there so many titles? Stop.
Yeah. No, the middleweight title is the one that they've had, that Myron Reed won and all those guys. This national title was the one that Alex Kane had for a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
And Davey Richards beat Alex Kane, and I guess he's still the champion. Anyway.
There we go. All right. That should be a fun match, though. Davey Richards against Colby Carino. I'm into that. That sounds great. Carino's good. Carino, if you have not watched Carino in a while, he's gotten good. He's added some weight. He's now a little bit older. He seems to have gotten his life in order. He's solid as hell. This is a guy
he should shoot on Davey and ruin the next 6 months of MLW.
Right? Is it going to ruin it? They'll never air it. But you're right. Yeah, he should. Honestly, yeah. Colby, if you're listening,
that probably wouldn't go well for him if he shot.
Probably not. But you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So go for it, Colby. Why not? They'll at least have to book you one. Or MLW will have to bring you in for a one shot, right? No, they don't have to. Okay. NWA World Tag Team Championships here. I believe these guys have faced each other at least 1,000 times on every NWA pay-per-view I've ever seen. La Rebellion versus Hawks Ari.
Not only on every pay-per-view you've ever seen, but on NWA USA this week, they ran an encore of their last match from the last pay-per-view. Right. So we could all watch it again.
Good.
Yeah. So
it's always good. It's always pretty good, though.
Yeah, I mean, Davey Boy Smith left the promotion, so that so Doug Williams doesn't have anyone to team with anymore, and Hawks Ari beat the Dirty Sexy Boy. They beat Dirty Dango and JTG to win the number one contendership. So here we go, and I think they're going to win the titles here. That's my feeling.
And they're good. They're a good little gimmick too. I like.
Yeah,
it.
They're all right. Yeah, they're fine.
Odinson versus TBA, as far as I know.
I don't know if he's been yanked. I don't know if he's going to have an opponent. Okay. I don't know what they're doing. The TV, they didn't do it. The TV obviously was filmed many months ago, and they didn't insert anything into the TV to say that all this wasn't going to be there. So there's no explanation, and nobody knows what's going to happen with this.
Great. All right. Excited. EC3 versus Tom Latimer, a match for somebody. I don't even know if At Billy likes that. I mean, that's a match for sure. That's going to be on NWA Hard Times 3. Do you have anything to say about EC3 versus Tom Latimer? With no stakes involved, no titles, nothing. All right. NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. Homicide versus Kerry Morton. This is probably going to be your match of the night, man. These guys are going to go out there and work their asses off.
Rematch from the last pay-per-view. Yeah. Kerry Morton came up short. They had Ricky Morton cut the go-home promo for Kerry. And did you ever think you'd live long enough to where Ricky Morton was the one that you're relying on to cut
right,
the
this is the
promo?
Guy we need to have talk. Yeah.
Right.
We have reached the doldrums of pro wrestling speaking ability where now, Ricky Morton is now thought of as the good hand, the good talker that we need to use. In these spots.
When we want to make some money, we got to let Ricky Morton talk.
Wow.
So that's where we are now with that. So imagine how bad Kerry Morton must be on the stick, where they had Ricky cut his promo for him. But, I think we're going to see a title change there.
Then we have NWA US Tag Team Championship. So many titles in this company. Good God. 8
titles of their own, plus the MLW middleweight title.
Jesus Christ.
If you have 8 of your own titles, do you need to bring in the MLW middleweight champion?
No, you do not.
Who also, by the way, hasn't won the title yet? Do we really need that when you have 8 of your own title matches?
Good God. NWA US Tag Team Championship match. The Fixers versus the Spectaculars. I love the Fixers, though. I know it's pure At Billy because it's Jay Bradley, and that man, the only thing that he likes more than Jay Bradley is Marche Rocket, but god damn do I love the Fixers. Just big, burly dudes. They just told Jay Bradley, gain 100 pounds. What's it? Bronco Nagurski, whatever the fuck he's called. What's his Wrecking Ball? Whatever the hell is great. He's just a big giant man. It's God. I love the Fixers so much. They're not that good, but they're a nice little throwback. I like this team.
Yeah, and the Spectaculars are the dollar store version of like your blowjob tag team. The Fantastics, the Fabulous Ones. They wear the little bow ties.
Yes, it rules. Again, classic. Yeah. This is a classic NWA thing here. You got the big, burly, just barrel-chested guys that are just going to drink beers immediately after the match, and then the bow tie wearing, high-fiving, ring rat loving Spectaculars team. So there you go.
I gotta say, Rich, you sound moderately excited about a show that you're going to be you're going to be into hour 3.5 on this.
I always am. I like the NWA more than a lot of the last time that did wear on me. The last show did wear on me, but I like the end. I don't hate it. It's a better roster than people think it has.
You know what? That was going to be one of my points to wrap it up. The roster is not terrible.
It's unique. You know what I mean? Like, I can go and watch 1,000 different indies, and a lot of them are almost exactly the same. And there's good, and there's bad, and there's pluses. But I see the same thing. You can click on any prestige, and I'm just naming company. I'm not calling any of these companies out or whatever. But I can click on a prestige wrestling show and a West Coast show and an action wrestling show and stuff, and like they're all really good, and I enjoy it. But like a lot of them feel kind of the same. The match structures are largely the same.
You couldn't have. Okay, I agree with your point.
I didn't mean to say action. I meant to say Deadlock. When I said action, I meant Deadlock. But I apologize.
You couldn't have picked 3 places that have more distinct rosters than the 3 you picked from one another. Like Action and West Coast Pro don't use any of the same people.
No, I meant Deadlock. But when I said action, I meant Deadlock. So I apologize. For that.
But if you here, edit that out and go back and say Black Label Pro, Game Changer.
No, because I don't even watch those, because I can't even pretend that I'm watching those, but they're the same way as well. No, I think like when they bring in like outside talent, they're bringing in a lot of the same outside talent, those companies. You know what I mean? And like, it's not just necessarily the talent, but it's the show, the way it looks, the way it's structured, the way it works or whatever. And it's not necessarily just a one-to-one. These talents are all the same, but like you kind of know what, and it's good. Like I watch all those promotions and I like most of them, West Coast Pro and Deadlock especially. I watch almost all their shows and I enjoy them and I like them. And it's like when they're done, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm glad I watched that or whatever. But there's just the different look, a different feel to the NWA, and it's nice to have that. And it's not all good, but I don't know. There's sometimes.
Well, it's mostly bad. Honestly.
Yeah, right. But I don't know why. There's some weird attraction that I have to it that I just can't explain.
The roster really. This is not. They've had way worse rosters than this in their history. Okay, that's number one. They have had much worse rosters at times than the roster they have now, which actually is a pretty decent roster. The problem is the booking is horrendous. There's way too much like dumb goofiness that isn't over with anybody, like the question mark stuff and the stuff with Sal Renaro and the stuff with Danny Deals, and it's just so off-putting and shitty and it's just so bad and it's just not utilized properly. I think if you got a booker in there who had a clue with this roster and they cut a little bit of the fat, because there's way too many people on the roster. Okay, that they can get rid of some of these people.
Yeah, get rid of 3 titles and about 40% of the roster, and you'd be in much better shape.
And then a decent booker can do something with this roster and do something with the unique look and go back to that studio feel, because TV is still in the studio environment, but it doesn't have the studio feel anymore, if that makes any sense.
Of course, yeah.
That old school studio feel it's not there anymore the way it was in the early days when they rolled out Power. So, but the roster itself's good and the pay-per-views are too bloated. There should be 6 or 7 matches on this pay-per-view. That
14 seems like too much. Yeah, 14 definitely seems
ridiculous.
Like a lot for sure.
The NWA does not need 8 titles. It just doesn't. You don't need 2 sets of men's tag team titles.
The best part about all that is when the NWA started, and we heard this, from Dave Lagana, who was a big part of the beginning of it with the Lightning One or whatever, is that
he was the first book. He was the booker.
Right.
Yeah.
The booker produced, I don't know his exact title, but he was producing a lot of the television, producing the YouTube content, all that sort of stuff. But he had said multiple places, including when we had talked to him, that like one of his original goals, and it felt like at the time one of Billy's original goals, was collect all these NWA titles that were all over the place. Because when they bought the NWA, that company had 25 different titles in all different regions, and collect all these titles, bring them all together, and then get rid of them all, and keep the name NWA to mean something. That you have a world's heavyweight title, you have a women's heavyweight title, and a tag team title, and that's all that. Let those be prestige. And somewhere over the last 3 years now, we have 8 individual titles. That's just like, why?
And then they rolled out the TV title, but they made it so gimmicky that it felt different than the other titles, because it was the whole deal with the 5. Remember the 6 minute and 5 second time limits with the whole 605.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And if you win 7 matches in a row, you get a world title match. So it was like it was an old school TV title. It was defended on TV every week with the little 6 minute with the gimmicky time limit. Then Lagana, gets speaking out and gets fired. And then Billy and Pat Kenny take full control of the creative, and now we have this where there's like 9,000 titles, and the roster is. But it was a nice tight roster back then too, where each taping you'd have like a 12 or 15 man crew. Almost
people
like
would come and go too, which was cool. You know, they do their little run, they do a taping, and then they'd leave, and then that was it. And it was like, all right, that's fine. You know, that's okay.
It was like the old Portland roster. It was a tight, small roster, and then each set of tapings would have a fresh feel because 60% would be out. You'd bring in 60% new guys. You'd keep your core. You'd keep your Nick Aldis. You'd keep whoever you had under contract, right? You'd keep whoever you were building up. You know, maybe your Ricky Starks or whoever. But then everyone else would be new, and it would still be a small, tight crew, right? Now everything is bloat is the number one word I think of with the modern NWA now. Everything's bloated. Too many titles, too many people on the roster, too many matches on the pay-per-view. It's just too much. Everything is too much. Anyway, what's next?
NWA National Championship, Scion defending against Dak Draper.
So Scion is now the son of Austin Idol for some reason. Now Dak Draper, he comes across for whatever reason in this promotion like a big D. He comes across, he looks and feels like a star. And I never got that from him when he was with Ring of Honor. It's just funny how people can go to different places and either they're not as appealing as they were before, or they have a fresh coat of paint and they're more interesting than they were before. And wrestling's always been that way. And that's why it's also good for wrestling to have movement among the rosters and things. Because when this guy's on TV, he comes across like he's big, he has a good look. And I'm like, wow, he never came across this way to me in the Ring of Honor. But here he does. So that's one thing I would look for if you watch the show.
NWA World Women's title here, a three-way. Yes, we have two different triple threat three-way matches here. It's just unbelievable.
So annoying.
For both the women's and the World Heavyweight title. We have the NWA World Women's title. Camille, Kylan King, and Chelsea Green is your women's championship match. Why does this need to have three people?
It doesn't. It's just, so this is the semi-main event, and not to defend that Billy again, but to go a little further with this. Camille has worked more semi and main events on pay-per-views than any other wrestler in the company since the end of the pandemic.
Oh yeah, and she's been probably the number one talent. Among consistently from the beginning to the end. The talent they've been most behind, most pushed, most kind of building up. And, this is actually funny that when this happened a couple weeks ago with Pro Wrestling Illustrated, when they released their women's, 500 or whatever, and there was a bunch of names on the list or whatever, and they were saying, okay, it's a blend of kayfabe and whatever. And me and a few other people, and I did see people on Twitter being like, well, if this is kayfabe, like, where the fuck's Camille? Like, there's no better, kayfabe-wise, one of the most dominant women in wrestling right now is Camille, who's had this title now for a year plus, like, wins all of her matches, is in main events and semi-main events, one of the most pushed commodities. Like, if you're talking strictly kayfabe, like, where's the credit for Camille? I think from even a storyline aspect, like we've been Camille defenders for a while, and there's it's not all great with Camille. There is some rough patches still, but like they've got behind her, pushed her, and she's pretty much delivered every time you could ask her to deliver. So yeah, I'm always kind of amazed that more people don't talk about Camille and not necessarily her prospect status, but just like where she's at right now. Like talking about great women in this is one that's being pushed better and more consistent than almost any other woman in America right now.
Yeah, and the point I was going to make, I was going to put over Corgan again because she's been pushed harder than just about anybody in the company and has the main events and the semi-main events to back it up. The NWA has a full-time female commentator. Is there any other American promotion that can say that? I mean, there's not. I mean, Velvet Sky stinks. Don't get me wrong, she's terrible, but he's got a woman at the announcement.
Yeah, she's there.
He's got 2 women's titles in a relatively small promotion. And now, okay, WWE does as well. They have many women's titles, actually, with all their different brands. But they're WWE, and they have 400 wrestlers and 3 different brands. AEW rolled out a second women's title. There's promotions that don't have any women. MLW doesn't have a single women's title. Okay, Impact has 2. But the NWA also, 2 women's titles. Full-time women's commentator. Camille works a main event or a semi-main event on every single pay-per-view. So again, there's a lot of arguments in favor that the NWA does very right by women in wrestling. It's just circling back to the top of the segment here. So I just wanted to add that too.
All right, then we have our
I'm a real Corgan defender.
You
today,
really are. Jeez.
I just go with the facts, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Got to face the facts. All right, NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. Good God. Trevor Murdoch defending the title against Matt Cardona and Tyrus. Yes, we are still doing the Tyrus thing, even though it has not meant anything for business yet, and he's a horrific pro wrestler. We are still doing the Tyrus thing.
I shit you not. They did a 6-main event on Power, the Go Home Power, the main event of the Go Home on Power. Tyrus was on the babyface side with Trevor Murdoch, and I forget who the team. It doesn't matter. The point here is Tyrus at this point, and we all know how bad he is, and I'm not exaggerating. When he tags into a match, he struggles to climb into the ring from the apron.
Great.
It reminded me watching the match of 1989 Andre the Giant. That's how much he struggles just to
not a good comp. Yeah, that's not a good
And
comp.
I'm not trying to be funny. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to pop the audience. He struggles that mightily just to climb in and out of the ring over the middle rope. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is Andre teaming with Haku against Demolition. And Haku does all the work. Andre tags in, does the spot where he gets tied up in the ropes. You know what I mean? Like, that's all
yeah,
he can do.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and it's like, that's what he is now. He cannot even get in and out of the ring comfortably. It's gotten really bad. You know, Tyrus is no spring chicken. He's in his 40s. So this isn't just like a big guy he's also a big guy who's been taking bumps for a long time, and he's getting older now too. And he's even worse now than people might even remember. It's not good. But he traded in the TV title. That's the story here. He's allegedly a babyface. Him and Murdoch are kind of tweeners. Cardona's the clear heel, and the go home angle was Cardona and his gang of guys, Brian Myers and all the dudes that are in his faction, VSK, all those guys. They beat everybody up at the end of the show, and it was Cardona with a chair, Murdoch and Tyrus facing off with him, and then the show fades to black. So that was your go-home angle for the main event. I think they should just put their title, assuming Cardona is either under contract or going to work future dates, I'd put the title back on him. He's not as hot as he was. I think Cardona has cooled off.
They probably missed the boat on that about, I don't know.
Well, he got hurt.
It's pretty much always ready was the unfortunate. He was not ready on that pay-per-view. That was probably it. And yeah, he has seemed to struggle to kind of get that same energy back that he had, the summer and the spring of this year.
He was hot there that was last year even at this point.
Oh my God, you're right. Hot. Yeah.
Yeah, when he did the thing in GCW where it was him and not Mox, and then he got real hot. That's going back a year now. Then he got hurt and lost all his momentum. But I still think the move here is to put it on him. He's a guy who loves pro wrestling, and he just likes to wrestle. And, he puts maximum effort into anything he does. He did all those stupid death matches that he didn't have to do and tortured his body. He works really hard in the NWA. He works really hard. And he works hard on, his promos.
He's great at promotion, too. I mean, it's not just Twitter. It's everywhere he goes. And when he's appearing on shows, like, he just gets it. You know what I mean? He's a guy that just when you have him in your company, he's all in. You know what I mean? Like, everything that he's doing is to, promote the match, promote the company, promote the whatever. So, yeah, I'm with you. He's a guy that I would definitely go out of my way to get in there. And even when he's burying a company, he's promoting the company. But people,
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Right.
He grew up a fan and he loves pro wrestling, and he probably really gets off on being NWA World Champion. You know what I mean? That's the essence of who he is, and he just loves this shit. And he's someone. This is what I'm saying. The roster's really not bad. You just need someone better in control of it.
Yeah,
but that's not going to happen with the current structure. Corgan is just, his creative just isn't. I don't know who it's for, but it ain't for me, and it's not very good. Anyway, that's the Hard Times 3, which we will be reviewing next week. Rich is going to watch it in 100 different agonizing pieces while he's at work this week.
Yep.
He's going to say, when does this show fucking end? Someone who's smart, will watch it live and get it over with.
You got to do that. Yeah, that's the best part.
That's the best way to do it. It's the easiest way to do it. But who knows? That nurse probably has them apple picking or something this weekend.
No,
so
the apples are gone already. Too late. Too cold. Too cold for the apples.
Blueberry picking or whatever.
No, way past blueberry season, dude. Way past blueberry season.
I don't know the fucking fruit seasons. I don't
know. November's not a good fruit season for any fruits. I'll tell you that. It's getting too cold, man. It's going to be 30 degrees.
Well, I don't know what. It's not cold down here. So I don't know. But
Well, then why don't you go blueberry picking then?
Because I can go to the store and buy a quart of blueberries. I don't need to go pick them off a fucking bush or whatever they grow on. What do they grow on? A vine, a bush?
I'd say a bush, yeah.
It's a blueberry bush. You know what? My neighbor over there, he's got a pear tree in his yard.
Yeah.
And it is overgrown, and it's in our yard, and the pears fall off of his pear tree into our yard.
Bet your dog loves that.
The kids love it.
Oh,
they run out there and
see?
They're like, "Oh, look at the pears!" They bring the pears in, and
my kind of kids. I like it. See?
I shine them up on my shirt, and I say, "Here you go, enjoy a pear."
Pears are great.
Fresh pears off the pear tree from the neighbor.
See, it's kind of addicting, isn't it?
He calls me Mr. Joe, the neighbor.
Mr. Joe.
He calls me Mr. Joe, the neighbor. He's got the pear tree that drops the pears. He had an eggplant. How do eggplants grow, on a fucking vine or something?
I believe eggplants. How do they grow? I don't know if I've ever grown an eggplant, to tell you. I don't know.
Some kind of eggplant, squash, something like vegetable.
Okay.
The vine went through the pickets on the fence.
Yeah.
And then the vine sprouted the thing, like whatever the thing is, the fucking squash or the eggplant or whatever the fuck. And it grew and it got ripe and we took it off, but then I didn't know what it was, so I just threw it out. I didn't want to risk it. I'm like, I don't know what this is and I don't know how to prepare it, and I don't want to go knock on the door and because that's embarrassing. So
you missed out on potentially some good eggplant parmesan there, sir. But,
I know, but again, I could just go to the fucking Kroger and buy an eggplant. I don't
get your delivery app that shall not be named until they sponsor us to go get you an eggplant.
Yeah. The fucking HEB, whatever. You don't have HEB.
We don't have HEBs. I'm aware of HEB, but we don't have.
I bet you have Kroger, though, because that's like an Ohio
So we don't have Kroger, but we have a division of Kroger. Kroger owns Mariano's, which is our local. I think they own Mariano's.
Well, they give it an Italian name because it's Chicago. It's smart.
I think yeah. I think Mariano's was a thing before Kroger bought them.
Oh, okay. Because my grandmother, on the Italian side, my grandmother, my Italian grandmother in New Jersey, we just had election day. Well, whenever an election would come up, she would just vote for whoever was Italian, regardless of party. She didn't know what they stood for. Like, she would just look on the ballot. They used to send the paper ballots in the mail so you could prepare before you go down and pull the levers. And she would just circle all the Italian names, and then she would that was her voting strategy, whoever the Italian guys were. We had a governor here, Jim Florio. I don't know if you know anything about New Jersey governors.
I do not know anything about New Jersey governors, no.
But she was a huge fan of Jim Florio because his name was fucking Florio. She knew nothing about him or his policies or anything, but big Jim Florio fan. That's so. Same thing with the Marianos. I'm sure all the wops out there are going there because it's they probably think some Italian guy owns it when it's really some corporate conglomerate that owns it.
Well, there used to be. So do you want to get into Chicago grocery store lore?
Why not?
Okay,
the rest of the content stinks and I don't want to talk about it.
The rest of these shows kind of suck. So there was Dominic's was one of the major Chicago chains. Dominic's, okay? Also given a very Italian name. I forget who actually founded Dominic's. I'm sure it was Dominic Demedio. Demedio. He was born in Sicily. That's all you need to know. So he was an Italian guy. So there was Dominic's, and then at some point a CEO named Bob Mariano took over in Dominic's. And he said, hey, we should do this, and we should do this, and we should do this. And other people were like, no, let's not do that. And so eventually he said, fuck off then, and created his own grocery store and put Dominic's out of business.
You see, I like that shit.
And then sold that shit to Kroger and said, I'm out.
Immediately cashed out.
Right. I'm out, bitch. Bye. And then so good for him.
Jack, man. I'll take the $44 billion. Sure thing, sir.
Right, at Jack. Yeah, at Jack was more than happy.
At Jack took the $44 billion and is now creating Blue Sky, whatever the fuck that is.
Oh, sure. Good, great. Awesome.
So we have another one. We finally kill one, and they're going to create another one, which is a mild
none will be as bad as Twitter, so we're okay.
Oh, you say that. Anything where the public comes together to have discussions is going to be just as bad as Twitter. Who are you kidding? Come on, man. Anyway, that's NWA Hard Times 3.
There we go. Yeah, that is Hard Times 3. Get into it. VoicesOfWrestling.com/fight, by the way.
Peloton, let's go.
This holiday, with the right music and the right motivation from world-class instructors,
we're going to pick it up a notch. It's the holiday season.
You might just surprise yourself with what you're capable of. Work out to thousands of live and on-demand classes, from running to cycling to yoga. Try Peloton risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only, not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial. Peloton, motivation that moves you.
Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Plus, when you sign up today with promo code OhioSB, you'll be all set for when FanDuel goes live in Ohio. Then you can bet on all your favorite teams and all your favorite sports with $100 in free bets. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Ohio, this is your chance to get in on the action. Join today with promo code OhioSB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued in non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio on 1/1/23. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go-live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is here.
Roger that.
And so is Mountain Dew.
Roger that.
Unlock in-game rewards like only Dew can.
Wait, what rewards?
A Dew Operator skin.
Man, I love Operator skins.
Dual double XP.
Dual double XP? Dual double XP.
Even Call of Duty points.
You're kidding me. Call of Duty points? This is incredible. I can't believe it.
Soldier, get a hold of yourself.
Oh. Roger that.
Look for specially marked packaging and visit MountainDewGaming.com for details and restrictions. Open to U.S. residents 17 plus. Call of Duty points available only on 12 and 24 packs. Ends 3/28/23.
For NWA.
With Twitter dying any day now, come to our Discord.
Absolutely. VoiceOfWrestling.com/Discord. Definitely do that. It is much better. We've had a lot of some heavy hitters joining lately, some big time names joining the ranks. So yeah, it's growing, and Twitter's probably dying any day now. So VoiceOfWrestling.com/Discord.
It's dying. It should. I listen.
We'll do the show. We'll do that show when that happens. I think.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a whole thing, but it's definitely it was a failed social experiment. It'll never work. The copycat ones, the Mastodons, your Blue Sky, they're not going to work either. It's a failed social experiment, and I think it's healthy that everyone kind of retreats back into their own hives and retreats back into their own echo chambers, whatever you want to call it, because I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to go back to like the forum days or whatever, where you're surrounded by like-minded people that you get along with, because you know what, Rich? That's what we do in real life.
Right, I'm not friends with people that don't like me or don't like the things that I like. Like, I'm friends with people that like me and like the things that I like.
Right. You know what I mean? In real life, we don't force ourselves to hang out with social circles that don't share our interests, don't get along with us, don't understand our humor, don't get our tone. No one does that in real life. It would be absurd. People would think you're a maniac. They'd think you're an insane person if you tried to do that. Right? We all hang out with like-minded people who share our interests and share our senses of humor. Yet we all thought that Twitter would work by mishmashing all of these different kinds of groups of people together. That doesn't mean that all these groups of people, that any of them, that some are bad or some are good. Rich, we just don't understand each other. And in real life, we would never hang out with a lot. So why did we try to force ourselves to do this? So I think it's a good thing that Twitter will die, and that people revert into their Discords, into their group chats, into their whatever the fucks, where they're just with people that are like-minded that they get along with. The reality is, it should have always been that way. But we all thought something like Twitter could work, and it was a good idea on paper. But it's very obvious in execution, it just doesn't work. So now this is one facet of life and society that is going to go backwards, retreating back into our own hives, which I think is healthy. I saw somebody many months ago be like, that Discord is Joe Lanza's safe space. I didn't even take offense to that. It's like, no, this is, they thought that was like a knock, that I'm not on Twitter anymore and I just hang out in the Discord. But it's like it's healthier. I'm a better person now because I'm not fighting with people on Twitter.
Yeah, you're not going to war. You're not every time you open your phone going to war.
And that dope who took the shot at me is still doing that and probably hating half of his day all the time. Good for that's your choice. Okay. But the pragmatic thing is just to reel it back and stop doing this to each other, and just it's much healthier. And I think that's the destruction and the ultimate demise of Twitter is going to be good for a lot of people. And it's going to be good for the people who don't even realize it's going to be good for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's who it's going to be best for. The people now who are lamenting that oh my God, I can't believe Twitter's going away. I can't believe Elon's killing this thing. It's going to be terrible. Those people are going to learn the most that this thing was destructive to their mental health and to their well-being and to their day-to-day lives and to their happiness. They're the ones that are going to figure it out in the strongest way possible when Twitter finally does go down. The ones that think they don't want it to be gone. I'm just enjoying all the madness. I'm watching it crumble, and it's fun.
Oh, yeah. I had a very happy day today realizing that, it's almost over. It looks like it's getting there, and it's not necessarily we were right to do it, but we had this, we had this very long discussion about this, over a year ago where we were discussing, is this a thing that we can afford to not be active on? Is there even a reason? And it was unthinkable. People saying, well, geez, you guys are really capping what you're going to do without being on. And no, it never, ever was that way. And like you said, now it has made my day much better. It's made your day much better. I think, I don't even think about it anymore. I don't think about getting on.
Every real life relationship I have is better without Twitter.
Yeah. And it's and the thing that you realize is Twitter is only a big deal while you're active in it. It's only, correct. The second you get out of it, the second you talk to somebody who's not on Twitter, they don't know anything about it. They don't care about it. They don't use it. But the second you're like, oh, it's everything and it's all that matters and whatever, you get out of it and you're like, wait a minute, it doesn't matter at all. None of this matters. It's all bullshit. It's all garbage. It's all likes and retweets are fucking worthless. They don't mean a thing. They don't mean a thing. It did not affect any aspect of anything that we do on our website.
Yeah, and when it comes to, forget our personal well-being, when it just comes to our business, we've never been more successful. And we're a year removed from Twitter.
Yeah, our website gets more traffic than ever.
And it was scary to let go.
Yeah.
But the further removed we get, the more we learn.
It makes it absurd. Every day I think, God damn it, I used to, every day I used to get on there. And every time I was watching a wrestling show, I had to say, I better tweet about this wrestling show.
I need a take.
Right. Having to have a take every single time. And now I watch shows, and sometimes I have a take, and sometimes I don't. If I have a take, I write it down, and we talk about it on this show. Or I read about it, or whatever. But man, it's wild, and it will be, like you said, it's gonna be eye-opening for a lot of people. There are a lot of people that made their identity Twitter, and those people are probably gonna suffer because they've made their life that. And
their entire social circle is Twitter.
Right.
Those people will struggle, but you know what? Long term, it's better for them too.
Right. They will soon realize that it's fine. And then there's those other people that were there and on the app and on, and eventually it's going to go away and they're going to go, Jesus Christ, why did I waste as much time as I did on that stupid app? And they'll be fine. But there are people that made their whole identity the likes and the retweets and the backpats and that sort of stuff. And those people are going to have to adjust to, having a take in their mind and not having 1,000 people go, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah. It's going to suck for those people.
At first it was hard not getting that endorphin rush or that, but the further you get removed from it, the less you even crave that anymore. And now I don't crave it at all because I was addicted to the app. Everybody knows that, but it's like, you don't have it anymore. What you're going to find is you're going to talk to people in your life more. You're going to read a book. You're gonna find things to do, and that are gonna be so much more. And I know the people that are addicted to the app the way that I was are listening to this, and they're just doing the hand job motion. They're rolling their eyes. You'll see. If this thing dies, you'll see. You'll learn the same way that we learned that it's all fucking horseshit. I don't know anyone in my real life who has a Twitter account.
That's the other thing too. Yeah, when I'm nobody else I know is on it. People that I know from the wrestling sphere, friends, but my normie friends know nothing about it. They have no earthly idea about Twitter.
No one in my family has a Twitter account. My wife doesn't have a Twitter account. She thought I was a dork for being on it all the time. None of my friends have Twitter accounts. Some of them have Twitter accounts where they use for news, but they never tweet. I don't know anyone in real life that has the fucking thing.
Yeah,
I was the only idiot doing it. So, no, I'm enjoying this. I do hope it goes down in flames. It's great on two fronts. One, Twitter is dying. Two, Elon Musk looks like an absolute fucking moron.
It's pretty fun from afar. It doesn't affect me in any way, so I'm just like kicking my heels up and going, all right, let's see. Like, he's gonna make a great documentary in a couple years. Like, I'm just enjoying it. Like, the rapid speed at which it's demising too. This thing that was everyone, quote unquote, everyone's life for, was our lives for as many years, is now within like the span of 7 days, like on the way to just complete ruin. And I gotta say, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect my bottom line. So I'm just like, all right, let's see what happens. All right.
I'm gonna miss. I mean, the news part of Twitter, but something will replace that.
Yeah, of course.
Something's going to replace that piece of it. Like,
going back and reading websites, or maybe having to actually read an article to find out news.
Yeah. But even like the breaking news aspect of Twitter was very good. But here's the thing. Like, when I'm watching, good example, Sunday afternoons when I'm watching the NFL, I've got my Twitter burner that is exclusively NFL accounts. I have that up. And during commercials or whatever, I'm scrolling that, just keeping up with the games and what's going on and things like that. But something will replace all of that.
Right. If the NFL's smart, they'll make their own thing, and then, or at least on their website, you go to NFL.com or whatever, and the sidebar is just a streaming thing of all the major reporters and the major team beat writers and all that sort of stuff. And it'd be easy to do that.
Trade deadlines, Twitter's very, very useful. That stuff I say that I'd miss, but I'm confident it'll be replaced. The DMs I'll miss. I have tons of running DM conversations with people, and I'm sure some of those people I'll lose contact with for maybe forever, and wrestling contacts that I use for news or just to get scoops or just to trade rumors with. I'm sure I'll lose some of those people if Twitter were to go down. And so some of that stuff I'll miss, but it's still fun watching it get set ablaze and set on fire and die. And
in such spectacular fashion too. It's not going out in like a slow death. It's just like fucking on fire,
it's Elon
speeding at 1,000 miles per hour. It's just incredible.
Elon working himself into a chute and now just fucking taking a shit all over himself. It's you can't tell me that it's not amusing to watch all of this. And to watch all of the blue checks, the blogger blue checks, the
when you say the blue check marks, everybody know. Yeah, you mean at New York Times guy. You know what I mean? It's like it's like insert random dude's name at columnist at New York Times or whatever. That's just
watching all of them
his mind.
shit themselves is like the greatest thing ever. Like the old meme where you remember the Spider-Man meme where it was like every time Trump tweets, these are the blue check marks. It was like a parade of Spider-Man guys.
Yeah. They were going through a Comic-Con. It's a bunch of Spider-Men finding each other at the Comic-Con. Yeah.
Right. Those blue check marks. Those are the people I'm referring. They are not going to know what to do with their lives without this fucking Twitter. And so they're the ones
Who's the guy that you hate? That guy. What's he going to do?
Kyle Griffin.
Yeah. What's he going to do?
Kyle Griffin. God, I never followed that guy, and he's constantly on every timeline I've ever had. People love retweeting that fucking guy. Kyle Griffin with his dopey long neck and his stupid mustache. I bet
I don't even know who he works for. I have no idea anything.
I don't either.
I saw him every day too until you were just like, "Hey, Rich, I'm blocking this guy. Like, do you care?" And I'm like, "I don't know who this guy even is. Please block him." Yes.
Aaron Rupar.
Aaron's a wrestling fan though. He
pops up in wrestling threads sometimes. Yeah, but he's another one.
He's prolific. He's a prolific poster. Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do.
Prolific poster. You know what he's doing right now? He's tweeting. Is what he's doing right now.
Tweeting through it. Yeah, tweeting through it.
Him and Kyle Griffin. They're fucking, or Griffith, whatever his name is. Just constantly tweeting and posting. There's a bunch more, but those are the people that are going to suffer greatly. Trump isn't going to know what to do. It's funny.
Well, he's
Elon's
not on there anymore, right?
Elon's going to let him back on, and then it's going to
be a hellscape. There's going to be 10 people left on it while he's there. Yeah.
So Elon will let Trump back on. Trump is going to be happy, and then the site's going to die, and then Trump's going to be annoyed again. It's I'm enjoying watching it burn. We have a lot of stuff to get to though, so we should probably
we should do that. Even though I said we were not going to do the Twitter show, we just kind of
ended up doing it.
We did the Twitter show anyway.
Can't help ourselves.
Well, speaking of that, let's get to some of these other wrestling topics. But first, Joe. We have to let you know this episode of the Flagship Podcast is sponsored by our very good friends at HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that is why, Joe, They are America's #1 meal kit. It's time to cozy up and save money by cooking at home. Fall is the perfect time to experience the delicious taste and unparalleled convenience of HelloFresh. I know that because just before we got on the air here, I made the balsamic fig pork recipe, made a portion for myself, packed a portion for the nurse to take to work tomorrow. We tend to do that a lot. We'll make it, and then we'll make 2 of them, and one of them will be for a lunch the next day. One will be for the dinner that day. Easy to do. Very, very simple. But you have a packed fall calendar, as many people do, with HelloFresh's quick and easy meals. Those are the ones I love the most. Like their 20-minute recipes or low prep and easy cleanup options mean you'll spend less time in the kitchen and more time with your loved ones. HelloFresh is now offering vegan recipes on the menu every single week as well, made without animal products of any kind, like dairy, meat, eggs, or honey. Enjoy meals like sweet chili tofu bowls or spicy coconut curry stir fry. And HelloFresh works with your ever-changing schedule as well. It's one of my favorite parts of HelloFresh. Plans are flexible, and you can choose your meals for the week, update your preferences, or change your delivery day all in the HelloFresh app. So if you're going on vacation, if you just don't want to cook a HelloFresh meal for that week, that's fine. You can skip a week, you can skip 2 weeks, you can skip a month, and you can get right back on when you want to get back on. So it is really, really cool how flexible those plans are. So changing seasons mean changing tastes, and with 30+ weekly recipes to choose from, HelloFresh has something for everybody. You can easily customize your meals by swapping out proteins or sides, upgrading to choice proteins, or adding protein to a veggie meal as well. So here's the kicker. You're going to go to HelloFresh.com/VOW65. Again, it's HelloFresh.com/VOW65 and use our promo code VOW65 for 65% off plus free shipping. Again, it's HelloFresh.com/VOW65 and use that promo code VOW65 for 65% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. All right, let's do, you know what? Let's talk about Crown Jewel. And I have not much to say about Crown Jewel because I only watched the main event. How much of Crown Jewel did you watch, Joe?
I watched the whole fucking show. Rich?
Do you have pithy thought? My life is too short to watch Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross in a steel cage match, so I did not watch any of that stuff.
Well, that wasn't any good. Let me pull up this card on our little run sheet because I don't remember any of it. Okay. Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, hated to finish. Lashley had him in a choke, and then Brock fell on his back, and Lashley was pinned. You picking up the gist of that?
Yeah. Oh God, really?
Yeah, and they only went 5 minutes or something. So I was looking forward to that, and it wasn't very interesting. Damage Control. This case, it was Dakota Kai and Io Sky. They won the women's tag titles from Alexa Bliss and Asuka. Bliss, they keep teasing the Bray Wyatt stuff, like his stupid logo flashes when she's coming to the ring and stuff like that. So is
this another thing that we're trying to unpack? These people are trying to figure out and unpack.
Well,
even though it's blatantly obvious where it's going.
Not really, because in this case, it's just she'll be doing a promo or she'll be coming to the ring, and her Titantron, it'll just flash the Bray logo for a second. It's not like there's no mystery or anything to decode. It's just, I don't know. Rich, why are you making me do this? I don't know.
Keep going.
The McIntyre Karrion Kross steel cage, it's Karrion Kross. The guy's just dry as a bone, and there's nothing interesting about him. Judgment Day versus the OC. Rich, Carl Anderson went to Saudi Arabia. He did not go to Osaka. So,
man.
In case you were, yeah. So, Judgment Day wins. Rhea Ripley got involved at the end and everything. So, Judgment Day wins. Braun Strowman, almost Stat Guy Greg over with our pals at the Ringer was very excited about watching these Giants go at it. It was Giants going at it. It wasn't that bad, to be honest, considering who was involved. And Strowman
7 minutes. I can watch 7 minutes of these two bulls going at each other.
Yeah, it's fine. It was a spectacle, I guess. The Usos defeat Butch. Why is he not just back to Pete Dunne now that Vince
they've changed a lot of names, but we still have Butch.
He wears the singlet. He doesn't wear the 1920s newsboy outfit anymore. He's not a
he's not Hawk in the Afternoon Daily.
No. Yeah, so
read all about it.
Right. With the little hat and the fucking
right.
suspenders and the extra. No, none of that. he's not like who's the guy who played Patrick Bateman? The guy who played Batman.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, like Christian Bale in fucking Newsies. Remember that fucking where he played one of the fucking. Hey, he doesn't wear that outfit anymore. So why not just? Why is he still Butch? I don't understand.
Butch.
Doesn't make any sense. So anyway, Usos win. They beat Butch and Ridge Holland. It was fine. Nothing on the show was bad, honestly. Bianca Belair defeats Bayley. Again, it was all right. I mean, none of this was memorable or worth going out of your way to see. But it was also not like, oh, why am I spending my life watching? Like some WWE pay-per-views are like, I got to have something better to do. This was fine. And then the main event, which we'll talk about, which was Roman Reigns and Logan Paul. And look, Logan Paul, I know some people don't want to hear it, but that's too bad. The guy's great.
The guy is tremendous. Yeah. You know what WWE needs to do? Now that Jake Paul is in, Jake Paul appeared here. If you didn't see, he came out with, he was in backstage promos with him, and then he came out to kind of help Logan against, the bloodline or whatever. Look, WWE is not making any new stars anytime soon. Look at this roster. Look at the way that they build stars. Look at NXT. Look at the systemic issues they've had building new stars over the last decade plus. They're not making new stars, right? Who's coming down the pike that's a star?
Braun Breaker.
Yeah, there's nobody. They have nobody that they're making a star. They got to go all the way with Jake and Logan. Seriously, you know what I mean? Like those are guys. I build my company around those guys.
They're already rich though, and you're never going to get them full time.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much they love this, how much they want this. The Jake stuff, like the boxing is starting to wear thin. The buys aren't there, so I could see you convincing him. Logan seems pretty into it. You're right. They're not going to show up on Raw every week, but that's what. Roman Reigns doesn't show up either.
Yeah, Brock.
Yeah, those guys don't show up. I mean, I'm not saying that they need to have them on TV every week, because look, they put Ronda on TV every week, and she means nothing anymore. Right. That's the worst thing you could do to these people is put them on TV every week.
Yeah.
But this match is over, and I'm thinking these are their next stars. I mean, and I said, and with full disclosure, that is a terrible, terrible state of where WWE is at. Where they need to these guys are expensive. They don't come cheap. Like you said, they're not available. They're not your homegrown guys. They can just decide one day they're done with this shit. They don't want to do it anymore. Whatever. I mean, but you don't have anybody else. Like you have nothing else.
The problem and the other problem though too is because they're already rich and they have so much money and they have you by the balls. They control their own creative because Logan insists on being a babyface.
Right.
So that's another problem. But yeah, and nothing really hammered home how great Logan really is and how much of a natural he is than watching Jake come in and throw those awful looking punches.
Yeah, Jake is not there. Yeah, Jake is.
This is a good thing to show people how great Logan is and how natural he is, because Jake is not a natural. Once he got physical, he didn't look good. He looks like a guy who needs to go spend some time at a wrestling school or something. Whereas Logan, from the very first time he ever wrestled, we were like, whoa, this guy's different. He gets it. He's a natural, So, just comparing him to his own brother, let alone comparing him to other pro wrestling rookies that have only had 3 matches or whatnot, it becomes very obvious just how spectacular Logan Paul is. He's just a natural, and he's really great at this. And you really can't use strong enough superlatives. I mean, for someone who's 3 matches in, and again, this made people mad when I said it on Discord. I don't know if I could think of many people historically who were this good 3 matches into their career. It's just the truth. And I'm sorry if that bothers people, but when I think about Jun Akiyama or Kurt Angle or anyone else who was really good, really fast, right? I don't know if they were this good. And I know that's like sacred ground and people don't want to hear that, but am I that wildly off base?
No, I mean, I'm with you. So I guess I'm off base with you as well, because I finished watching this match and I was just like, Jesus Christ, that guy hung 100%. And it's not just, and I know some people say, well, he's in rehearsed matches, and there's a lot of people in rehearsed matches and they fucking stink and they suck. Like, Dominic is in rehearsed matches and they fucking suck and they're garbage. Like,
by the way, do we know that these are rehearsed matches?
I mean, I'm sure that they talk about something, but everybody talks about that. Like, I don't know that people think that it's like this match was completely, I don't know that you're getting Roman Reigns, to hang out with you for 5 weeks to plan out exactly what this match is going to. I'm sure, Roman's willing to get out there and work out a match with you and talk about it back and forth and all that sort of stuff. But like, I don't know, like I see a lot of people say that, and I think it's just a way to put this guy down for whatever reason, because you don't like, and again, I get it. Logan Paul, I don't like Logan Paul. Like, I don't think he's a guy that I would like to hang out with or whatever, but like, it's undeniable that guy just gets it. He gets it. And it's not just whatever. If you want to say, oh, they're all rehearsed matches, fine. Okay, whatever. The guy just gets it. He gets the getting to the ring, he gets walking to the ring, he gets owning the ring, he gets everything in between the moves, everything before a match, everything after a match, everything, the explosiveness inside the match, the way that he does the moves, the way he moves around the ring, the way he bounces off the ropes, like all that sort of stuff. We watch a lot of fucking wrestling, and trust me, I watch a lot of wrestling. Not many people are as naturally gifted at it as this guy is, and that's in all aspects of it. That's in terms of the charisma of it. That's in terms of historically, it's in the charisma,
coming across like a star.
That it factor, coming across like a star, and then the moves too. The guy can work. Like, he can work. He did a bunch.
I'm telling you right now, if I woke up out of a coma and watched, and that was the first match I watched after I was in a 20-year coma, I think this guy was a 10-year veteran. If I didn't know any better, That's how good he is. That's how smooth he is. Nothing looks like he's thinking his way through.
No, and that's a huge thing, because that's like I said, people that think through, that don't own that room. You can tell it's blatant, and you see it from the moment they walk out of the curtain. Like you said, Jake Paul was a perfect example of a guy that was being a pro. He was playing a pro wrestler on that night, but he didn't. Nobody believed it. Nobody bought it. He was just Jake Paul, the guy. Logan Paul comes out, and you're just like, again, like you said, if you woke up, you would say, this guy's probably been around forever. Like, how long has this guy been training for? How many matches does he have? And I would tell you 3, and he's not really a trained wrestler.
The moment he comes out of the curtain, he just feels like a natural and one of the biggest stars in wrestling. He just has it. Like, few have had it historically. And he'll never be full-time. And that's a shame, because he'd be one of the best in the world if he was. He's that good. And I just have to be honest about it. His physical performance, the most impressive thing is he exudes stardom. The first time he ever came out of the curtain for his first match, you're like, oh, this guy's a fucking star. He gets it, and he just has that natural thing that most humans don't have, where you just feel like you're looking at someone who's special. And that's the thing you look for in pro wrestling that you can't teach. The thing that Conan used to call having an angel. That's what they call it in Mexico. Oh, this guy has an angel. He's just different. That's him. And then the bell rings, and he's just as good bell to bell as he comes across. He really is something special, and there might be some people puking listening to this, but I'm sorry, like I faced facts. Like I said, it's too bad. It is what it is.
I think the guy's kind of a chode, and I'd like to tell you that he sucks, but he doesn't. And I'd like to tell you that I watched this Blood Money main event and hated it, but I didn't. I liked it a lot.
No, he was, So yeah, this guy, and he blew out his ACL and blew out his knee apparently. So, but the thing about it is, he's not going to wrestle that much anyway. So
he'd probably be taking 6 months off anyway. Probably wait until Rumble or Mania or whatever. And maybe we're looking at Mania, maybe we're not looking at a Rumble anymore, but that's fine. He could come back at Mania and
maybe he makes it back for that. Maybe he doesn't, but he'll be back for SummerSlam or whatever. He'll be back. And, he's just a really impressive pro wrestler, and just miles ahead of your typical rookie. He's miles ahead of your good rookies. Yeah. Like, you see rookies that are good, and he's miles ahead of them. And what really separates him, isn't just the physical part of it. It's just the charisma and coming across like a star. That's something that I don't think any rookie has ever done as well as him.
No, owning that room from the moment he walks through the curtain until the moment the match is over. I mean, just owns it.
Yeah, you want to argue the wrestling. If you want to say it's not the same when you only wrestle a handful of times versus someone who wrestles every night, there is no argument that he comes across. He has more charisma and comes across like a bigger star than any rookie in the history of this business.
Well, watch this match. He's in there with Roman Reigns, who has been WWE's handpicked dude for 10 plus years at this point, They've decided this is our guy. We're going to build our company around him. And Joe, this guy's had 3 matches. He's hanging right with him on every aspect of this entire thing. Like, that's impressive. You know what I mean? And I'm not the biggest Roman fan, but Roman gets that style.
Presence.
Right,
Roman
he's got that presence. He clearly understands how to be a WWE main eventer. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever that's worth. I don't think it's worth all that much, but for Roman Reigns, it is. And for WWE, it is. And for the fans of WWE, it is. Like, he gets it. He understands how to be. And Logan Paul is right with him on all of that. And this is a guy who's been built up from the ground up to be a WWE main eventer. And here's a guy with 3 matches that just hangs exactly with him the entire way.
Yeah, he really is something special. And, you know, we'll see how much more of them we get moving forward, especially with the injury. But, just a remarkable performance for someone who this was their 3rd match. And look, he was great in his 1st and 2nd match. You know, so, that buckshot lariat spot, I mean, just perfect execution, explosiveness, just power. His shit looks like it hurts, you know, and his execution is on point. Like, everything he does is excellent. I don't have any knocks. He sells. I mean, where's the critique? And if they are, if the matches are practiced, I mean, who cares how the sausage is made? You know, we've made that argument for years. You know, people used to knock the, like Sasha Banks for that.
Yeah, a lot of the main NXT women's matches, they would say, yeah, it's a good match, but they've been working on it in the PC for a month. Okay, well,
all right.
I watched TakeOver and it ruled, so I don't really give a shit. You know,
you can go back a generation. You know, Diamond Dallas Page, you know, scripting out his matches move for move, and
Randy Savage, Randy Savage and Steamboat, of course, yeah.
You know, has that hurt Randy Savage? Who gives a shit how the sausage is made? Is it a little more impressive if you can go in there and wing it? Of course. But that doesn't make it less impressive if you can still go out there. I'll tell you what, even if that match was, I don't care if him and Roman were locked in a fucking room for 5 months and practiced that match. Didn't come across that way. It didn't come across like it was rehearsed. It didn't come across like it was choreographed and step for step. It all felt natural to me watching it. So there's something to be said for that too. Other celebrities who have wrestled, who have even been good. The Archer guy who does the heel show now, I forget his name. He was good for a celebrity wrestler.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Green Arrow guy. Yeah,
Cody's buddy.
Right.
Oh, Green Arrow. Yeah, not Archer. And now now he does heels, which is coming back for season 2.
Is it really? Wow. I thought it was done. Yeah, I thought it was over, but
no, they're doing a season 2. You should watch season 1. I think you'd enjoy it.
Okay, Stephen Amell is his name, by the way.
Stephen Amell. He was pretty good for a celebrity rookie.
Oh yeah.
Bad Bunny was pretty good for a celebrity rookie. Pat McAfee was pretty good for a celebrity rookie. This guy smokes them.
Oh, he's so much better than all those dudes. Yeah.
He smokes them. And McAfee was really good. But McAfee has that thing where sometimes you can tell he's a rookie. This guy doesn't. Like, McAfee has that hesitation. He has that, it doesn't always look supernatural, right? There's none of that with this guy. Same thing like Bad Bunny, who I don't think was as good as McAfee. You could tell, like, there's that thing where, all right, you know this guy is not a wrestler, even though he's pretty good at it. You know, Shaq, same thing. You go right down the line with any of them that are good. Kevin Green.
D'Angelo Williams, angry bringing up
this guy smokes D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah, and he was the previous, like, this is the best celebrity wrestler ever.
Right, he was the previous benchmark of this is the benchmark, and smokes him. Both in the ring and forget it in terms of charisma and star power. It's not even that's not even you can't compare him to anybody. So I don't know. I thought it was great. And I look forward to when this guy wrestles. It feels important. It feels big. It feels like a happening. And I know I'm going to get an incredible performance every time out of him.
So that was that. That's the only match I watched on the show, but I was glad I watched it. And I would definitely recommend it. Again, if you're eye rolling this conversation or whatever, I watch this match. That's all I'll say. I think you'll be shocked at how great this guy is. And I've been shocked the whole time too. And I keep thinking it's going to come to a point where he just doesn't deliver, and he just keeps getting better and better and better. And he's 3 matches in. So it's impressive for sure. So that was Crown Jewel. Let's get to the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. A lot of stuff going on in New Japan. They had their Battle Autumn show this week. I unfortunately went into the show thinking it was going to be a cheer crowd. It was not. It was a clap crowd, and that I don't know about you, Joe. That's severely disturbing. When you go in thinking, hey, hell yeah, we're past the clap crowds, we're going to get a cheer crowd, and it was a clap crowd, it had a good main event, a really, really good main event with Will Ospreay and Tetsuya Naito. Will Ospreay does it again. Naito continues to just have, incredible match. When he's in a big-time match, Naito delivers almost every single time, and Will just delivers every single match he's in because he's just the best fucking wrestler in the world. So I thought that match was great. U.S. heavyweight title, Ospreay defeating Naito in just over 30 minutes. I thought that was good. FTR United Empire was pretty solid, but elsewhere on the card, I don't know that a whole lot else really excited me too much about this Battle Autumn show. So I don't know if we have to go match by match with this, but I guess what did you think of Battle Autumn, and how did you react to the crowd, knowing that is yet again another clap crowd?
I thought that the main event was, I thought Tetsuya Naito brought a physicality to that match that he doesn't always bring. And he really beat the shit out of Will Ospreay during that match. And I thought Will was very good in putting over that beating and selling that beating. And it was a different match than their G1 match. It wasn't the same kind of match. And it was a great match. And they did different things than they did the last time they met. And it was far more physical. There was that one spot where Naito just had him by the wrist or whatever and was just chopping him down like a tree, just beating him down like Wahoo McDaniel or something. It was that's what I'll remember about this match.
It was very hard hitting. Yeah, it was not like if you have outdated Will Ospreay takes about the high fly flippies or whatever. I mean, this was just they just beat the fuck out of each other for 30 minutes.
There was a real physicality to the match, and I really thought it was a great match. As far as the rest of the show, I was surprised that Akira and TJP retained, because normally with the junior tag titles, when there's a new team in the mix, they automatically belt them up to get them over, right? That's what they did with TJP and Akira. To get Francisco Akira over, they put the junior titles on him. And we've seen that repeat, over the years, especially under this booking regime. So I thought Bushi and Teton would win because Teton is new to LIJ and it's this new tag team, and we've got the Super Junior Tag League coming up. So that surprised me. And I thought that was a really good match. That may have been my second favorite match on the show. That
match was pretty good. No, I forgot about that one. I should have given credit to that. It was pretty good action.
Yeah, it may have been.
Bushi looks solid. Teton is great, and Akira and TJP rock. I mean, they're just a great team. I love that team. That's one of my favorite junior teams that we've had in a very, very long time in New Japan, because there's been a bit of a lull there, and obviously Roppongi was just, oh god, my eyes were just bleeding every time I had to watch another Roppongi match. Even though I didn't dislike the guys, I was just like, fuck, I don't need any more Roppongi in my life. No more Roppongi 3K, please, no more. And it does feel like the Catch-22 is just a whole new vibe in that division. So I really like them, and even Bushi and Teton is a fun little new team. So I'm with you. I was shocked that Akira and TJP retained. I thought for sure Bushi and Teton were going to win this one.
Yeah, me too. I would have bet on that if I had the opportunity, because that's normally how the booking pattern goes. They put Yujiro in Carl Anderson's spot, and they just did a squash to put Hikuleo over. So, and that's different. Like New Japan, that goes against the grain of the way they normally book, to just do, a little 10-second match where Hikuleo just treats him like he's a complete non-entity. But they're going to get behind Hikuleo for better or worse. He's going to be one of the guys that they're really going to get behind. And, Ren Narita thankfully beat Sonata. I think everyone figured that would happen and he'd go to the final at least, and he'll face Zack Sabre Jr. I think everyone kind of thought that would be the final.
That's the best final to book. That's a good final to book. And I'm
Narita
excited.
must win. Narita must win.
I agree. I mean, the way that title's been presented, the way that they've talked about it, the way that Narita's been, he's gotten big wins over. I mean, if he gets to the finals and then just loses to Zack Sabre Jr., I don't know, it'd be a bit of a gut punch, because it feels like they kind of got something with this guy, and you may as well ride this momentum. And this new title, you keep preaching that it's about young wrestlers and new exciting wrestlers, is the best time to just nail that right here with Ren Narita to win that title and starting a reign.
Yeah, and he feels like he can be a star.
Mm-hmm.
He really does. So we'll see. I think they'll do the right thing. And then they had the incredible tag match where, the Can They Coexist with, it ended up being Despy and Master Wato on one side and Hiromu and Taiji Ishimori on the other. And the big story there was Master Wato and Chris Charlton did a masterful job setting it up, talking about how these 4 guys have taken turns beating each other, with the exception of Wato, who has the terrible record against everyone, especially Hiromu. And then what's the finish? Watu pinning Hiromu.
Yep.
So great job by Charlton. And that sets the stage for the 4-way at the Dome. And it makes people think Wato is a credible threat to be one of the people who can win that match. So Taiji Ishimori, who feels like he's been the junior champion since, fucking Inoki was an active wrestler. I mean,
it's so long.
So they'll have the 4-way, which I don't like. Again, I don't like that booking. But this was, again, they haven't really done a match like this. I mean, there was a lot of booking on here that goes against it feels different. FTR retained against Okan and Cobb. I thought for sure they'd take the titles off them by now, but now I'm hearing that they just Gato loves FTR and he wants them around as long as possible. And, we'll see what happens at the Dome now. As far as if they'll be on the show, and I would think that they would be against the World Tag League winners. And we'll see who wins that tournament. We'll talk about that briefly in a minute. And if they can retain again and continue holding these 3 titles. And,
I have seen some people say, well, it's on a Wednesday. I mean, they can miss an episode of Dynamite.
It's okay. People are just really.
Oh, it's on a Wednesday. Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
All right. They act like everyone is always on Dynamite anyway.
Right. I'm sure, Tony will just, and Tony is maybe prone to taking some talent off of indie shows and all that. I think if FTR say, hey, we're going to defend the, IWGP tag team titles at Wrestle Kingdom, he's not going to say, nah, I need you for a pre-tape. Nah, you can't do that. I need you for a pre-tape on Dark or whatever. I think they'll let them go, but.
I mean, it's not ideal, but it's not a big deal either. It's it can be worked around.
Well, I mean, Tony's a nerd. I mean, do you think he doesn't want one of his teams on Wrestle Kingdom?
Yeah, I mean, if
promotion being yelled about the whole time, I mean, come on.
If it's a situation where he absolutely needs somebody, he's not going to send them. But again, this isn't a promotion that crams everybody into every show. Guys disappear for weeks at a time. You know what I mean? So, and if they're going, you can plan for them missing that week. There's a bunch of, I don't really buy that either. Now, I understand that Dynamite's in Seattle, so you're probably not going to see Bryan Danielson going to Japan. Because they're going to want him on that show, to sell tickets and whatnot, his return. So that's one guy that maybe you can cross off. But anybody else, I think, is fair game. I mean, it's just it's everything in life is a negotiation. You get on the phone with Rocky and Gato and you figure it the fuck out, and you make concessions and everything's a negotiation. So after Will Ospreay beat Naito, Shota Umino comes out, so he's off excursion, and that set up our main event for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Stardom crossover show, which is going to be Will Ospreay versus Shota Umino in his big return.
How do you think he looked? How did you think the presence was?
I thought he came across great.
Yeah, I think so too.
I thought he came across much better on this stage than he did on some of the smaller stages in Rev Pro over the last couple of years, which is weird. But
maybe he just saw it as beneath him, or maybe not. Beneath him is not the right term, but maybe he just felt different walking into that building and knowing, all right, I'm in the main event right away, and it's a big time, and I got to build this match. I don't know. Yeah, there could be something with the state of mind that he has versus doing his thing in Rev Pro where he knows it's just a stepping stone or whatever.
They're not fucking around with these guys.
No, I love it.
Narita's getting pushed, Aminu's getting pushed, Hikuleo's getting pushed. We'll see with some of the others when they make their way back. But they are not fucking around with these guys. And I thought his body looked great. I thought he showed confidence. And, that match at Royal Quest where Ospreay beat him with the elbows to the back of the head, where his father was the referee. Well, shit, that's that light bulb booking that we talk about with New Japan all the time, right? We thought that was just a match. All right, we're just going to do Will Ospreay versus Shota Umino. 2 guys from Rev Pro. It makes sense to do it in the UK. Now, all of a sudden, that match and that finish means something more because Umino is coming for revenge and he wants that title, right? After Will knocked him out with the elbows to the back of the head. So, nice job booking-wise from New Japan there, too. And, they're going to introduce him back to the audience in this first match on this crossover show. The rest of the matches I didn't get to were basically just tags with not much to talk about. So since we're running out of time, we can. And do you have any other thoughts on the Battle Autumn or no?
No. We can move forward.
All right. So as we said, the crossover show. What's the date on that?
The date is November 20th, and this one for the record is a New Japan World pay-per-view. Which, if you've never done one of these before, that means if you were a New Japan World subscriber, you were not going to be able to watch this show live. You were going to have to pay an additional fee if you're going to want to watch it live. So it will probably show up on VOD. I forget when those do, usually about a week or so, sometimes 2 weeks or whatever. But if you want to watch this live, you do have to pay an additional fee on New Japan World to watch it. I forget what the fee is. I think it's either 14 or 20. It's somewhere in that range. So it's not too much. And this is a show that, might be worth, paying that money for just because of its uniqueness and its potential to be pretty damn good. But it is, if you're a New Japan World subscriber, you can't just pop onto your New Japan World the morning of and watch it. You are going to have to pay an additional fee, but that's November 20th for the show.
Yeah, so it'll be headlined with Ospreay and Umino, and then, of course, the IWGP Women's Tournament Final, which is Mayu Iwatani and Kairi. So those will be the top 2 matches on the show. There's a bunch of mixed tags and things like that with the stars from both companies. I'm sure the show itself will be more of kind of a celebration of the 2 companies and whatnot on the undercard. And I know a lot of people are going to be jacked up for it. So we'll see. I mean, obviously I'll watch it. Obviously we'll talk about it. And Stardom will once again have an opportunity to win me over. They never have been able to. But we'll see. Maybe this will be what gets me into it. I don't know.
It's a fun looking show. I mean, you got the mixed tags, which I could take or leave most of those, but I think the matches, like I think New Japan's putting a really good foot forward here. Okada, Yano, and Great Muta versus United Empire. I mean, they obviously want to forgot
about Muta. Yeah,
they want to make it like an important show, a show that maybe some people that don't regularly watch New Japan or whatever check out, and then they're putting Ospreay and Umino, which is a pretty big match. And you got the Iwatani versus Kairi match, and there's a lot of stuff to like. So we're definitely going to watch that and review it, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I think it has a chance to kickstart a really good relationship, or it has a chance to be like, all right, well, maybe we got to go back to the drawing board on how much we want these 2 companies to be involved with each other moving forward. So we'll see.
It's for people like me. They want Stardom to win me over.
Right.
And because they want to grow Stardom. That's the whole point. And Muta has been feuding with Great Okan, for a while now. They had the match in Noah, then he attacked Okan in Cork and Hall during the television title tournament. So they'll be on opposite sides of a tag here, to kind of continue whatever they're doing with that. So that's been one of the themes of Muta's retirement, is that he's had this issue with the Great Okan. So yeah, we'll talk more about it next week, I guess, because we have other stuff to do. So
yeah,
World Tag League, Super Junior Tag League will be combined. That starts in about a week.
Yeah, both of them start November 21st. World Tag League is ending December 4th, it says, but I don't think I have that in my notes. I don't think that's right. Let me double check that's the actual date.
Nah, they're ending on the same date.
That's what I thought. So okay, they're both on the 14th. So
keep an eye on the tour ender here, because that could be one of those circled dates that they may have gotten to book Carl Anderson. It would make sense for him to come in on the final show of this tour, where they do the 2 finals for the tournament and then have other stuff. This could be one of the dates they got Anderson for, because clearly they think they have a date, because they didn't vacate him. They didn't strip him. They canceled the match instead of stripping him of the title. So that's a date to keep an eye on, that December 14th date, as one of those potential dates, unless they're going to do it at the Dome and stretch it out even further. If they don't do it on the 14th, they almost have to do it at the Dome. You can't do it on those Christmas Corkins, because the Wrestle Kingdom show lineups are finalized already.
Right. Yeah, that's where we're left with that. We're left. My thought is that we probably get at that World Tag League show, we get a video saying Bright Lights Carl Anderson doesn't show up for World Tag Leagues or whatever. I'll see you at Wrestle Kingdom or whatever. That's in my head canon. That's what I have coming, and then you could just have him go there for Wrestle Kingdom. So
yeah, because the whole Bright Lights gimmick lines up with showing up at Wrestle Kingdom.
Right. The Bright Lights doesn't mean I'm showing up to the finals of the Super Junior Tag League, World Tag League joint tournament or whatever. The Bright Lights is I'll show up at the Tokyo Dome.
Right. So maybe they've agreed on January 4th for him with that. I mean, he could work Raw hypothetically. And
absolutely.
Fly there in time.
Yeah. Yeah, work Raw,
right?
pop onto a plane, and get there with more than enough time.
Yeah. All right, so quickly the teams. We've got Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. They're obviously a regular team. Evil is teaming with Yujiro, so Yujiro will be taking a bunch of pins. We've got Naito and Sonata, because Naito, with the loss to Will Ospreay, he doesn't really have an obvious Wrestle Kingdom match yet. So, he will be in the tournament since he's not a champion or challenging for a title yet. Hanare and Great Okan, no Cobb. So that's a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, and Cobb's also off the Australia show as well, or the New Zealand show, I should say.
Yeah.
So I forget. He said he was dealing with something or whatnot. So I don't know if we've heard anything more about that or if it's a personal thing or an injury or something like that. But yeah, he's off this and will not be on that New Zealand show either.
Takes a potential winner off the table.
It really does, yeah, because they seem like a very good option to go and get the rematch against FTR, but I think you got to...
I mean, they've been feuding with them, so It's like I don't think they would win, but they were a potential winner for sure. Toru Yano and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Aussie Open, so they finally get a full-on New Japan tour where they're going to be able to stretch their legs as tag team wrestlers. They lost the strong tag titles. I don't think they're strong tag champions anymore, but former strong tag champions, and that might open them up to be their potential winner.
I was going to say, you know what? If Cobb's not around, I could do Aussie Open FTR. I could do that again for the titles for sure.
Aussie Open FTR in the Tokyo Dome.
Yes, I'm in, Joe. I am in. Count me in for that.
Do you think my good close personal friend Dax the Axe will be fired up for that?
Dax the Axe for sure he will. Yeah.
Do you think that Aussie Open will be fired up for that?
I believe they would be. Yes.
That match would be an absolute contender for the best match on the show, and I don't even need to see the rest of the lineup. I mean, so hopefully, I think I'm going to root for Aussie Open. Lance Archer is coming in for this tour. The team of Minoru Suzuki. Rich, they won the 2011 World Tag League.
Damn right they did, yeah.
It wasn't even called World Tag League yet.
G1, still a G1 Tag League at that point, right? No, is that true? I don't know if that's true. Hold on. This place that I got this information from, they've been wrong on one thing. Let's see if they're wrong again.
That was Lance Archer's first tour.
Still a G1 Tag League. Yeah, that was the last year of the G1 Tag League. So, all right.
Do you know my favorite team from that tournament?
The 2011.
G1
man.
Tag.
Was your boy Don Fuji? Wasn't it Fuji and Ishii were a team? Is that the team?
Don Fuji and Big Tom Ish.
Oh, what a team! Oh my God, that needs to be a team again, man. Those guys showing up in like some nice suits, sunglasses inside.
Yeah, what a team!
Fuji,
what a tournament!
Ishii, EE. It could just be the team name. It could just be EE. Just eyes. It's just 4 eyes.
You come up with something creative.
Fuck, Don Fuji and Tomohiro Ishii. Yeah, shit.
They call him 4 eyes.
4 eyes. There we go. Hell,
if Ishii went to Dragongate and teamed with Don Fuji, they would absolutely be called the 4 eyes and wear glasses to the ring.
Yes,
that would 100% happen.
And it needs to happen. Actually, it should happen right now, right away.
In 2009, it'd be a lock. Today, it's kind of a different.
It's a little tougher. Well,
that would absolutely be their gimmick.
We'll get Dragongate's Soul Booker Nosawa Rangai on the phone, and we can get that arranged.
Yeah, get Rangai on the phone. The man running things.
Get the big seat of Dragongate Nosawa out there, and get him to do that. So,
moving on, we had Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens. They're obviously a regular team. He's back. Mad Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste. TMDK.
He was.
He's got a mohawk now. Yeah, but here's the thing.
He's back with the old there's no reason for him to not be good at this point. Everything is back to normal.
That's right. He's with Shane Haste.
Mad Mikey Nichols.
They're a quality tag team. They're back together. It's what were they? The TM61 in WWE or something like that?
It was Nick Miller and I forget what the fucking other guy's name was.
Shane Thorne.
Of course. Yeah. Well, shit. What was their team name? I have no idea. The chat room will let us know.
It's TM61 because
TM61. Okay.
Yeah, because they wanted to keep. Because 61 is the phone code for Australia.
Oh, okay.
And I think they wanted to keep the TM part. So I think
remember those weird shirts they had? They had like these weird tank tops.
So they weren't the Mighty O'Neil. They were the Mighty 61 or something. It was TM61. I'm almost positive.
Got it.
But they're back together. Look, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing if they still have the same chemistry, if they
he was so bad. I'm with you that I want them to be good, but God, he was fucking terrible. He was so bad. But you're right. Everything's back to normal. He should be good, but
this is a real callback, and I don't even know if you remember, but the dream is still alive. It's been many years. They went their separate ways. They're going to wrestle Suzuki-gun, and we might get the choke slam reversal from Shane Haste that we were waiting for.
How many other people still remember that? Does Lance Archer still remember that? Do you think?
Guaranteed he remembers because we used to bother him in the DMs about it.
We should. Should we re-bother him in the DM so he doesn't forget about this before he gets on that plane?
I obviously don't have access, but you...
Okay, I will do that.
...can reach out to him and say, you guys can finally do that reversal spot. Because he would get Shane Haste up so high for those choke slams. Shane Haste would get up like a fucking champ. And they did it 2 or 3 times, and you just felt like eventually a reversal of some type was coming, right? So... maybe reach out to Lance and let him know that he has another opportunity to give one, because that's his best choke slam opponent ever is Shane Haste. There's no question about it. And then Gabe Kidd, who returned and looked good in his return, and he'll team with Alex Coughlin. Is he still doing the RoboCop gimmick, or did he drop?
A little bit, yeah. He needs to not do it, or just get better RoboCop gear if you're going to do it. First off, don't do the RoboCop thing. But if you're going to do the RoboCop thing, don't get a Spirit of Halloween RoboCop outfit. Like get a real one, but also just don't get a real one. But yeah, there's a big spot for Gabe Kidd, and I hope he's in a better place. And yeah, it just hits the ground running. And this is a great opportunity for them. They're gonna have a lot of really fun matches. This World Tag League is pretty solid. There's a lot. There's more good stuff about. And I say this about the world. I know I'm saying this about the World Tag League.
Yeah.
And I know it's gonna be in the doldrums. But I think there's enough stuff to like about this Aussie Open. Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin, I think, is going to be pretty good. TMDK potentially could be really, really good.
Yeah, fresh teams.
Goto and Yoshihashi are solid as hell. There's enough stuff to like here. I think there's enough stuff to like in this team. So.
All right, let's get through the Super Junior Tag League because we got to do Dragongate.
Yeah.
So, Akira and TJP, obviously. I say obviously, but they're the champs, and this presumably is going to set up their challenger. Leo Rush. We're going to give Leo Rush another chance, and he will be teaming with Yo in this tournament. So I feel like Leo Rush is going to get opportunities until the day he dies. I mean,
he's super talented, so I get why people do that. But I don't know, especially in New Japan, it's kind of backfired on them quite a few times.
I cannot get excited about Leo Rush anymore.
Yeah.
If he's going to wrestle, I'll watch his matches. They'll probably be good. But am I going to get excited about this guy? I cannot do it. Bushi and Teton, of course. Ace Austin and Chris Bay. So Bullet Club Impact getting in the mix here. Got Flying Tiger, Robbie Eagles, and Tiger Mask. They have formed a regular team, and they will team again in this tournament.
I like that team. It's reinvigorated Tiger Mask for me because I was kind of ready for him to just go away forever.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm really excited about Tiger Mask being in there anymore, but I think the Eagles team has helped him a lot. To me, it's reinvigorated Tiger Mask a lot.
I like his little All Japan run he had.
Oh, that was a good run. Yeah, that was a fun run. We talked about the final match that he had there. That was really good stuff. So,
Dick Togo and Show.
Oh.
All right. Listen, they can't all be winners. Okay, we got to sit through Dick Togo.
All right.
Rusuke Taguchi and Clark Connors. Taguchi can kick rocks too. I've had enough of that.
I've been done with him for about 6 years now. And there used to be that thing where we would talk shit about him, and then people would say, he always delivers in Best of the Super Juniors or Super Junior Tag League, and now that's like 6 years gone by now. Just go away. Don't need him
He's just a dork.
He's a dork. I'm like, oh. God, you know what I mean? It's just the visceral, like, he's gonna do the fucking thing where he bends over and shoots the guns out of his ass. All right, we heard you, we got it. Like, we're good. He's
gonna spread open his ass cheeks like the goats. Remember the goats meme?
Goat say or whatever. Yeah.
Goat say. He's gonna spread open his butt like he's doing fetish porn, and it's just nobody needs it anymore. I've had enough of this guy. Dokai is teaming with Yoshinobu Kanemaru, so no more Despy Kanemaru team, because of course Despy is in the 4-way for the singles title. So we get this inferior version of the team. Although Dokai has grown on me. I don't
he's solid. He's solid.
Kevin Knight will be. How many teams are in this tournament? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kevin Knight will be taking 9 pins, teaming with Kushida.
Yes, he will. Yes.
But good for him.
Hopefully, Kushida's fully cured from his hand, foot, and mouth disease. So maybe just fist bumps for a while. Maybe just keep our distance. Tag. I don't know how you're going to tag in and out. Maybe just maybe with the referee, they're baby faces. Maybe just a nice smack of the something to indicate. Because I don't know. You want to. I guess he's fully cured. I mean, it's been fucking 3 months now at this point. That thing is that's not nothing to be joking around with. That hand, foot, and mouth disease, man. That's
so. Obviously, Kushida is going 0-9 in this tournament. That means he won't be in the junior tag title match.
No.
At Dome. He doesn't have a match for Tokyo Dome.
No. Has he earned one? Has he earned one? I said this when I watched him on Impact. It was like Kushida came out, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, this dude has done just massive damage to his career at this point. He just doesn't feel like he belongs in any company right now.
Yeah, well,
he came back to this company and they were like, all right, yeah, Kushida's back, and then it's kind of been. I don't know if it's the injury. I don't know if they're ready to go once he's fully healed, they're ready to go back. I don't get the indication that this company is ready to just dive headfirst into Kushida being a junior. I mean, does anybody want that anymore? Do you really want Kushida having a junior title run again?
I don't, but I think a repackage is coming. That's what I think. I think they're going to freshen him up. He'll go heel or something. But it'll be Bullet Club, and it'll be like, oh, God, another Bullet Club.
Right.
And then El Lindemann and Alex Zane. So, Strong Hearts. Back in the mix.
I love that. Alex Zane and El Lindemann. That's a great, what are these dudes talking about team. But
I think Alex Zane has been an unofficial Strong Hearts guy, hasn't he?
I know Case Lowe is listening, so maybe he can chime in. He's listening in the No Dopes chat room right now, so he can let us know.
Zane,
is he an official, unofficial? You saying unofficial Strong Hearts? I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that.
Did I make up headcanon?
Maybe. I like it though. It's solid, but I don't know where would they have
crossed paths.
Yeah, I think they just put 2 teams together. They just said, "All right, we gotta."
No, he teamed with them in Glee.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, actually, here we're talking bad about Twitter, but I found at Alex Zane Sauce in November 24th, 2019. They had a great time at my first OWE show. The fans in Japan are great.
See?
Thank you, Supershima1115, for having me and making me part of #StrongHearts.
Yeah, and he teamed with Strong Hearts in Glee, but but I think he's like a soft member.
Okay,
you know what I mean? But he's affiliated with Strong Hearts. So I think this counts as a Strong Hearts team.
Do they have as long as Strong Hearts has their cool music, I'm in. So
you know what? I'm counting it as a Strong Hearts team.
Do it.
And if someone doesn't like it, they could fight.
They could kick rocks,
that, Rich? Yeah. Because he's been soft affiliated with them for years. Nobody questioned my knowledge about GLEAT. I am a huge GLEAT fan.
You are among the biggest GLEAT fans, yes.
I know what's going on in GLEAT. Okay? So anyway, these 2 tournaments look pretty good. But it's a lot like PWG. Right. Are you really going to watch it?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to watch the key matchups.
Yeah, for sure. There's a few matches that I have circled for sure. Am I being a completist and watching every? No, absolutely not. No.
Am I going to be locked in when they go to Bipu and it's House of Torture versus Yano and Tanahashi? No. I'm not going to be doing that. But when there's matchups that look intriguing to me, I'm gonna parachute in. All right, so we got to do Dragongate.
Yeah, let's do it.
Push to the end of the show as usual. Did you watch the whole show?
I watched the whole show, yes.
All right, I watched the whole show too. Let's do the main event while we have a little bit of time. So Yuki Yoshioka, as expected, defeats Yamato. And, this was just another match to solidify Yoshioka as the guy, putting him over a dude who's held the Open to Dream Gate title probably 5 times, right? I think he's a 5-time champion.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe 5.
And that was the big theme on the English side of the commentary, Yoshioka beating the 5-time champ and getting past him and all of that. And I got to tell you, I don't know. Yoshioka doesn't work for me.
No, still not working. I thought this
match
doesn't
work for me.
I thought this match for sure would do it for you. Because when this match was over, I was of the mindset, man, this dude just has it. He feels like a main event Dragongate guy already. And he's obviously pretty early into his entire career. just debuted, it's 2016, but he's still only 28 years old. He's still, very, very young. But I don't know. To me, he feels like he's owning these main events. Like he's just feels like a guy. He feels like a star to me. So I'm kind of surprised that when this match was over, you didn't get that same.
He doesn't look like a deer in the headlights to me, or like he doesn't belong. He just doesn't excite me. He's very clearly a solid wrestler. Mm-hmm. He's a good wrestler, and he has charisma, but he doesn't excite me like other young wrestlers in this company excite me or have excited me over the last half decade with this great young crop of wrestlers they have. I don't know. He just doesn't excite me. It doesn't, and it may have partly been, Yamato's not always the most exciting big match opponent. We all know that. It might have been the fact that this was allegedly a cheering crowd, but this was a cheering crowd, right?
It was, yeah. It was weird, and it's been
they weren't great.
They were not great, and that's been a problem with a lot of these more like when they've said, all right, now you can cheer. Like I forget what show it was. It was maybe a Big Japan show or something like that, and everyone's like, hey, this show, fans can cheer, and I was like, all right, cool, great. And I watched, and it's like a lot of people still clapping, a lot of people not cheering, and especially this one because they had to cheer. It was very spread out, and it looked like a kind of a dire atmosphere, even though it wasn't. They had good attendance, and the business was up from where it was last year, but they were very spread out, and the crowd just didn't they're still not ready to fully just start screaming and yelling again. And have we damaged Japanese wrestling crowds forever? Will they never get back to just yelling and screaming and going nuts again? I don't know. It's kind of worrisome because there were points in the show where you could tell the fans were excited, but a lot of people just kept clapping and didn't start cheering. So I don't know if it's going to maybe take a little while to fully feel like these fans are comfortable cheering or whatever, or I don't know, maybe we've just damaged Japanese wrestling crowds forever. So
yeah, I don't know. Dragongate as a whole is just not doing it for me these days. This Triangle Gate match, the Z-Brats, they beat the Mochizukis for the Triangle Gate. The Mochizuki gimmick was going to eventually run its course. This is how they kind of do with these sorts of things. And, that match was okay. And I thought the Brave Gate match, my biggest takeaway gate on the Brave Gate match was, think about where Hyo was in the pecking order just not that long ago. Like just a forgotten guy, buried very deep on the undercards. So it's good to see him come all the way back and get a big win over a veteran. And
he's got a cool presence these days. He's definitely figured it out. Like he it's kind of just like chicken shit. There's a lot of chicken shit heel stuff in him, but he's doing it really, really well. And he's doing it in the context of also being like an exciting Dragon Gate wrestler. So I like Hyo a lot because you're right. There was a long time where he was like, he was in these super shisha like pre-show tag matches type
lost
stuff.
In the match, yeah, and losing,
and taking the fall in that match too, which was like, oh boy, okay, like they have no plan for this guy whatsoever. But I've liked him a lot. Of what I've watched of him recently, I think he's starting to really, really figure it out.
Yeah. So Dragon Daya and Madoka Kikuta, former hip hop Kikuta, successfully defended Twin Gate over Shimizu and Strong Machine J. I like all the people that were in this match, so I had a lot of fun watching this. So that was a good match.
Yeah, the D-Courage team is solid as hell. And Kikuta, again, a broken record, but it does feel like there's like you said, so many talented. And I get how Yoshioka might not, to you, like I get it, he's not as excited, because some of these other guys are. Like you watch a Hyo, you watch the Ishin Shashi from the Z-Brats, he turned on M3K and joined the Z-Brats or whatever. He's like a pretty dynamic young guy. I think he's like 25 or 26 or whatever. Fujiwara, who we're going to talk about in a bit. I think Yoshioka, the thing with him is like he's getting the style of like a main event like he's not an exciting jump off the page, oh my god, Dragon Gate wrestler, but I feel like he fits the kind of the classic 25-minute Dragon Gate main event style pretty well.
Look, I get it. Like I understand why
it's not stoking your flames too much.
He doesn't excite me. He does nothing for me. Like I don't look forward to his matches. I'm not like, wow, I get to watch this guy for 15 years. He does nothing for me. I'm just it's almost like, all right, you ever like when you were in high school, maybe in college, there was maybe a girl who was objectively attractive, just conventionally hot. All your friends were after her, did nothing for you, and you couldn't understand why. That's like what this is to me. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but like I'm like, I get why everyone likes this guy. He does nothing it doesn't move my needle. It just does nothing for me, and unfortunately, I don't think he ever will. And sometimes you just run into wrestlers like that, where you just don't get it. and everybody else does. So I don't know. I'm not trashing him and saying he doesn't deserve the spot.
Why do you hate this man so much? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, of course.
Right. I'm just saying he doesn't do it for me. You know? So yeah, I don't know. Kelly Zemretti was mine in high school. You know, I didn't get everybody else.
She sounds hot.
Well, Kelly Zemretti, yeah.
She sounds.
I may have changed one of those names because our listeners are psychopaths.
Yeah. But
and they'll go looking her up. But you know, I can think of her right now in my head, and I'm like, I just never understood.
Hot. Yeah, I think you missed out.
I'm like, she's conventionally attractive, but you guys can have at it. I'm not interested. And thank God you're not, because obviously I would have got her. I mean, let's be honest here. Eita versus Takuma Fujiwara, and Fujiwara popping in. Isn't he going back on excursion after this? He's working the Corkin, and then
he unfortunately had to go back to IWRG or whatever. And he's going. This was just a quick stop in Japan. Then he's right back to Mexico for his excursion. So
yeah, now I see the upside here. Obviously, and I've been watching some of his excursion matches, and quite honestly, in a lot of them, with the level of talent he's working with, he's by far the best person in the ring with some of these excursion bouts. But Eita beats him. Obviously, he was going to lose just dropping in from excursion, and Eita popping back in. He's going to be a part-timer moving forward. We talked about that. You know, he's not like leaving for good or anything like that. And I know we're out of time, but then the rest was the under. Do you have any thoughts on some of the undercards?
I don't have much on there. Fujiwara, obviously, if people do not know, is a rookie, and he's
great.
Really damn good as a rookie. Yeah. So if you get a chance, you see him on a match, or you can watch this match. I mean, get a chance to watch him because he is a very, very good rookie that you need to go out of your way to check out. Otherwise, I don't think there was a ton else on the undercard that I really that really stood out to me all that much. You have Minorita, they're doing a gimmick where he's like just fucking terrible. Like he's so small because he's like 5'5", 5'1" or whatever. So the idea here is that BB Hulk and Diamante are like, all right, we want to face Benkei and Kota Minoura, but you know what? Add Minorita to your team. It's not going to matter. It's going to help us. And then anytime they had an opportunity to kick Benkei and Minoura out of the ring and just beat up on Minorita, they did, and they ended up getting the pin on this. So the idea is that people keep adding Minorita to their team and they keep losing. So eventually building up to him, obviously getting a big upset win or whatever, and then going from there. But I think it's pretty
and it was 2-on-3.
Right. He's so small, and it's Dragongate. It's so funny that like Dragongate guys they look like almost like Diamante looks like he's doing an almost gimmick, which is in Dragongate. Like to have a guy be so small that he feels like a mini in Dragongate is a very big accomplishment. But Minorita does that. So
let me tell you something. I unironically love Diamante.
Oh, he's great. No, Diamante is really, really good. No, I'm with you.
So that's not a weird take then, right?
It might be a weird take for some people, but no, I think he's the last 2 years he's gotten like really good. When he first came into Dragongate, I was like, I don't know, do we really need this guy? I fucking love him now. I think he's really, really good.
No, I never come away not entertained when I watch that guy. So he's one of my favorites, and that might sound weird, but and then there were some openers here that were really inconsequential, and it's Dragongate. They open up with 2 or 3 matches that are always just super short. They're getting everybody on the card. They're crammed with spots. They're a lot of fun, but there's really not a lot to unpack from, like a podcast standpoint. So any other thoughts on the card or
nothing else for me on Dragongate? I will say if you want a more extensive review of that, open the Voice Gate on the Voice Wrestling Podcast Network.
Get a whole show on that.
Whole show on this topic and everything else going on in Dragongate and talking about the rookies and dispelling some things you may read in certain
publications.
It might be you might observe something in a wrestling place and say, wow, that's kind of weird, and they will talk about how the thing that you observed maybe was not correct at all in any way whatsoever. So
maybe perhaps a mirage.
Right, a ruse. Bamboozled. But anyway, that is Open the Voice Gate, Voice Wrestling Podcast Network. All the other great podcasts available on the Voice Wrestling Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe to us. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, Radio Public, wherever the hell podcasts are, we're on there. If we're not on there, let us know, and we will be on there. But that is that. We are just about out of time. I will let you know that if Twitter is gone by the time you listen to this, voicewrestling.com/Discord is where you're going to want to join. We have a very good community there. We're talking about all day, every day, talking about wrestling from all across the world, every region, every major promotion, old school wrestling, modern wrestling, everything is being done there. a great way to talk to your favorite Voices of Wrestling contributors and podcasters as well, because most of them are on there as well. So voicesofwrestling.com/Discord. Make sure you join that, and don't follow us on Twitter because it'll probably be dead by the time you listen to this, but hopefully if we're lucky. But that is it for us. Oh, flagshippatreon.com. We got an ungodly amount of content. Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame podcasts are now dropping. Our first one just dropped today, our Japan discussion with Peter Edge, and we have some other really, really fun ones coming up this weekend as well. Some new guests, some frequent guests that we've had before, but some really, really good stuff coming up this weekend. That Full Gear is obviously next weekend, so we'll talk about that, do an instant reaction live. Plenty of other good stuff. Flagshippatreon.com. Make sure you subscribe to their $10 tier, $5 tier, or $10 tier, whichever one you please. And that is it for us. So for Joe, I'm Rich. We'll talk to you next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.
Peloton, let's go.
This holiday, with the right music and the right motivation from world-class instructors,
we're going to pick it up a notch. It's the holiday season.
You might just surprise yourself with what you're capable of. Work out to thousands of live and on-demand classes, from running to cycling to yoga. Try Peloton risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only, not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial. Peloton, motivation that moves you.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is here.
Roger that.
And so is Mountain Dew.
Roger that.
Unlock in-game rewards like only Dew can.
Wait, what rewards?
A Dew Operator skin.
Man, I love Operator skins.
Dual double XP.
Dual double XP? Dual double XP.
Even Call of Duty points.
You're kidding me. Call of Duty points? This is incredible. I can't believe it.
Soldier, get a hold of yourself.
Oh. Roger that.
Look for specially marked packaging and visit MountainDewGaming.com for details and restrictions. Open to U.S. residents 17+. Call of Duty points available only on 12 and 24 packs. Ends 3/28/23.